What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 52 of the Hive Mind podcast. 52 weeks in a row. It's our 1 year episode, and the universe has given us a gift from. The universe has given us a gift this week for our one year show. So we've got Asmongold. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Twitch. I actually fucking finished that shit. So yeah, what a fun week, eh?
I'm not the gift. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
We know what the real gift is. Let's be honest, bro.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Dopamine here. I had a good week.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Had
don't even know where
to do his intro.
Yeah.
You have to say, sup, y'all, it's me, it's your boy Dopamine here, and then you fuck it up about 20 times, and you cut every single one out.
There's no way you
talk
fucked
your... You're right, 20 is too low.
Wait, is that something... See, you do all your videos in, like, one continuous thing, don't you?
Yeah. I do.
Are you just incredibly good at that, or does that take you multiple attempts to knock that out? Because I know sometimes when I'm making a vlog, like, I just fucking stumble over my words, and I'm just like, and it just doesn't happen
I
for
spend
me.
about 10 minutes fucking up the first 30 seconds, and then I go for 15 minutes with relatively no mistakes.
That's kind of how I am.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, it's just like, I've got, like...
oh my god, I'm sorry. That was my alarm making sure that I was here.
That's good. I thought that was like a like an Amber Alert or like a nuclear bomb. I mean, I didn't know, man. I didn't know he got inaugurated yet. I mean, come on, this is a little bit ahead of schedule.
I don't know if you've been looking at Twitter, then that's about what it is.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the plethora? I mean, these have been out for a while, but they're just now becoming super popular. But the fucking plethora of Biden Obama memes.
Oh yeah, I love those. I really do. I think they're hilarious.
I think the best one I saw was Biden and Obama, and he's like, hey, I showed Trump the drone strike controls in your desk drawer. And he said, Joe, that's an Etch-a-Sketch. And he was like, right.
I think my favorite was when they said that, you know, I hid the Kenyan passport in the desk just to fuck with him.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I thought that was the best one. But yeah, it was I like those. I've seen those a number of times before, and it was when he had like his hand on like Pence, and he was like, you know, whenever they say you're in the cabinet, you're not actually in the cabinet, you know.
Right.
I thought they were really funny, dude. Like there was I mean, those have been going on for kind of a while, but I guess like now since it's
well, there's more meat now because it's like about Obama and and Biden fucking with Trump.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's like the new thing.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I do.
Are you guys actually like in disbelief that shit actually happened? Because I feel like it's not even real.
Actually,
doesn't it feel like that?
I feel the same way. Like I actually, whenever I saw it on Google and it said Donald Trump won, I actually screenshotted it on my phone. I was like, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna get back up and I'm gonna check just to make sure that this actually happened. But
did you guys actually vote at all? You probably didn't. I know Zybak didn't.
No.
Really? You didn't vote?
No, dude. His level of lazy transcends fucking everything. Like,
oh my god.
No, it's not that I'm It's not that I'm a lazy person. I just didn't.
Jesus Christ could have been running in this election, and
I
he would
wouldn't
have
have
been
voted
like,
for Jesus.
Fuck that guy, dude.
Fuck Jesus. I would vote for Trump before Jesus.
Pepe the fucking frog.
I'd vote for Pepe.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, I figured that.
I'd vote for Trump before I voted for Jesus.
Who would you vote for Trump before you would vote for Pepe?
No.
What's the difference?
That's pretty much the same.
Yeah,
exactly.
dude, Donald Trump tweeted out a Pepe meme of himself. Like, think about that shit, dude. I really hope Donald Trump continues to talk shit on Twitter as the acting president. How great is that? How fucking fantastic is that?
If I ever have kids, they'll bring me home their history book, and I'll turn to like the Donald Trump presidency, and I'll see a picture of that fucking frog.
Dude,
can you imagine that?
I made a video talking about this, but I really think the dumbass 4chan, like the Donald subreddit, I think that shit actually had like a major effect on this election.
I think you're right. I really do, because it kind of served to I guess like spread and break the stereotype in the same way that it was created, you know. And I think that having those people,
those guys just dug up so much dirt and did like so much like I don't know, they like uncovered and like brought a lot of shit to the limelight.
See,
And would
I
just like
think
spam message boards and I don't know. They're really
No, I
loud.
remember.
Really,
What
really
I-
loud.
what I think it was that like, so maybe that was a little bit of it. I think it was more the polls and like the media pretty much guaranteed that she was going to win, right? Like if you would turn on your TV, like there was no chance in hell that why even run or why even vote. So I think what that did was it took a lot of like her would be supporters, and they were like, yeah, she's fine. She doesn't, you know what I mean? Like I don't really want to go to
It's
polls.
it's like listening to a football game on the radio, and the announcers have been lying about the score the entire time, and then you
the
fucking
other
get
thing
home.
is-
Yeah,
You're like,
you
wait,
show
what?
up and it's like somebody else won the whole fucking game.
Well, the other thing is like, I think that like, so if you said like, I don't hate Trump, like everyone immediately called you like a fucking idiot or racist bigot piece of like, how dare you, blah blah blah. So
Oh yeah,
I think
it's the biggest double standard.
I think the polls largely reflected people going like, I'm not gonna fucking tell you, I'm just gonna vote for him.
Oh, of
Well,
course.
I think that's a lot of what it was. Is people felt like they, there was a large, I guess, like a movement of people who didn't want to say how they're actually going to vote, and I think we saw this earlier this year with Brexit. I think it might have been last year. I don't remember really when, but it was recently with Brexit.
Yeah, it was like
where they didn't
14
expect
months
that
ago.
to happen either. And there are a lot of people who basically, because they were being demonized, they just said, "Yeah, I'm not going to vote for it. I'm not going to do it," and then they turn around and do it
Right.
whenever the time comes around. And so I think the demonization not only kind of caused the polls to be wrong, and you can even say that the polls, I remember reading something and it was said that polls aren't used to gauge public opinion, they're used to persuade public opinion. So we don't really know. It's like, has anybody here been called by one of those pollsters?
No,
No.
but you gotta also think about
Yeah,
the
me
type
neither.
of people that fucking actually do that shit. If somebody tried to poll me, I would just be like, fuck off.
Well, I'd give them like real answers, right? And I think a lot of people probably would. It's like assuming that they actually gave a response. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So like even if you didn't give a response, the people that didn't, they wouldn't like classify that either way.
Well, I read something that people that are more liberal are more likely to do polling. Like they're more likely to do the voting.
Yeah,
What do they
because
call it? The
all
exit
of-
polls. They're more
All of
likely to
Donald
like.
Trump supporters don't have internet or phone, so it's kind of hard
Well,
to
they
poll them.
can't answer the polls because they can't read.
Right, exactly.
Of course, yeah.
Of
course.
How else are you gonna poll? If you slipped like a polling response thing in a can of Bud Light. then
Well,
you
also,
never-
they don't pull people over in Russia, which is
They
obviously
just
where-
poll outside of NASCAR races.
Yeah.
they just
course.
got he gets on the mic at the NASCAR right, like the fucking Richmond 500, and he's like, "Hey y'all, show of hands."
Take a drink. You gonna vote for Donald?
Turn left if you're voting for Donald.
Oh my god, that's fucking funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that's entirely true. I mean, I think that people felt like they were demonized, and so they didn't really say the way that they felt. Like I don't really know what it's. I think it's called like the Overton, like I don't know, like picture or the window, Overton window, which is what's considered to be the from I guess like being like Jesus in terms of like what you're gonna do, like give everybody everything you have and like be like a super socialist or a communist, all the way over to being like a Nazi or whatever. There's a huge spectrum of political opinions, right? And that Overton window shows, and what's inside of that is basically what is going to be the acceptable public opinion, right? And that Overton window has moved so far to the left, and also at the same time, it's gotten so much smaller that people who are outside of that window, which is obviously increasingly more as it's been moving more, feel less likely to want to express themselves and say what and how they feel. And I think that the polling and all of the success that we've seen this week and in the past year reflects that.
Yeah, there definitely were a whole lot of closet Trump supporters, which is kind of like
Oh yeah,
crazy considering like the whole liberal like thing is like treating everybody like equally and not like being extra careful not to discriminate against people, but yet like it, like for example, a black guy at a Trump rally in a Hillary t-shirt, he's not going to get anywhere near as much shit as a white guy with a Trump hat and a Black Lives Matter protest. Like,
I don't really think so. Yeah, you're right. I
like
think
it's not.
it's a little bit different, but I do agree that there is a huge element of double standards and hypocrisies with the way that liberals treat people who have dissenting opinions. And it's like I'm pretty sure you guys agree, but I've always been a very big person that big supporter of, I guess, like the free market of ideas. Like bad ideas should not be censored; they should be shot down with good ideas.
Yeah.
Like you can't just say, well, you can't have that opinion. That's bad, because there are people out there. The problem with that is there are people out there like Alex Jones and other like people who are infinitely more crazy than he is, that as soon as you tell somebody you can't think this, they're going to start thinking it because they're anti-authoritarian or they're contrarian in general. So I think that's kind of the outcome of the censorship mentality to begin with.
Did you see all the crying YouTubers? Like,
No,
oh
no,
my god! Like, I mean, literally crying on video. Like, it's fantastic.
It's unreal. Like everybody, like celebrities are crying about it. Like everybody's fucking crying. Like, dude, come on. Like he's not gonna be that bad. Like he's already been like, well, Obamacare might not be all that bad. I'll keep some of it. I'll keep what I want to keep.
Well,
It's like
the guy's been a Democrat for longer than he's been a Republican. Like, I mean, he just says shit to get rednecks to vote for him, and apparently it worked.
Yeah.
Exactly. I said that.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Doesn't mean any of this shit. He's just saying it to get elected. Like, don't worry about it. He'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, do you see though that he's already done like some pretty gangster things? He's like, I'm not living in the White House full time. He said that. Like, he's like,
I don't want to live in this shithole.
It's a downgrade for him. Imagine that.
I know he's not taking a salary, which is not a big deal, but
yeah, I'm sure he doesn't really need that. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people who are like really, really upset about the election, like the literally shaking and just all of that kind of stuff. It was crazy to see how upset people really were, and it was, to me, I feel like the biggest victory. Like this doesn't. What happens after this doesn't really matter. What matters is that the combined and concerted efforts of the media, of celebrities, and all of these other people, like more micro celebrities, like through YouTube and everything like that have been approached by people to try and I guess like promote a liberal agenda. All of that together and that type of like thought reform or brainwashing, however you want to look at it, that failed. And the importance of that is more important than anything outside of like a nuclear holocaust that Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton would commit, right? It's extremely important that we have, open and fair elections. And the amount of collusion and everything that went into this one, the fact that lost, it didn't matter if it was Donald Trump doing that. Even if I agreed with him, it would have been better that he lost, because that cannot win. Because if that did win, that would become the norm. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I still just can't fucking believe it's real.
I can't either. I'm amazed. I really
think too that I hope anyway. I really hope that the DNC learns a pretty harsh lesson about thrusting whatever fucking establishment person they deem worthy. Will the people be damned? Because that's what they did to Sanders. Right, and Sanders would have beaten Trump. I really do feel that way, because I think
so.
I think so too, I don't
maybe.
think a lot of people voted for Trump as much as they did.
They voted against,
not Clinton. Yeah. Like I have a buddy who is a Stanford PhD. Right, he's a whatever those postdoc fellow, whatever the fuck you call it is.
Yeah,
but and he's like in California at a university in education. The most liberal left-wing guy you could ever imagine. And he's like, I voted Trump out of spite.
A lot of people did.
Oh, I think that was the majority. A lot of people who were Bernie supporters moved over to Trump. And I really can't blame the DNC entirely, because, for one, Hillary won the popular vote from the Democratic primaries. So while they did fuck Bernie Sanders basically out of the nomination in different ways.
Through like tons of, corruption.
But at the same time, she still did win the popular vote. It's not like, they did some kind of weird thing with like some sort of, type of electoral college.
A lot of that too could have been though that like, why am I going to vote for someone who's obviously not going to win? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think that is definitely how they positioned it, is to make it feel like voting for Bernie was kind of a pipe dream, right? Where everybody that was voting for Bernie was like these kind of delusional kids that are like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be fine, and they use that mentality of being kind of the naive, I guess, like being naive, as to, I guess, like associate that with Bernie Sanders. And so a lot of the people who are like older and like more, I guess, like established or just more experienced Democrats kind of went against that because they, were like more realistic. And I think that that's kind of the way that Clinton tried to portray herself in the primaries.
the one thing that I'm actually really happy about. So like, I told who did somebody, but at work I was like, I think I'm fucked up on a like a deep level because I voted for Clinton and she won Virginia. What's right? But I voted for Clinton because I'm like, listen, I just need a clear conscience, and when he wins,
so you vote for the most corrupt politician ever?
Yeah, but well, listen. So I was like, when Trump wins,
should have voted for Rambe.
If he does win, like nobody can blame me, right? Because I voted for the fucking quote unquote right choice, whatever. But I'm watching the results, and like as it's showing, like he's not losing, and in fact, like he's because you didn't know, right? Like until Florida came in.
Yeah, I went to bed early, dude.
You were like, I stayed up the whole fucking night, dude.
I did too.
I was like, this is history. Like, I gotta watch. And you know what I really enjoyed? The tears of the liberal media. Like, it wasn't
dude.
They shed their fucking bias. So, like, or their objectivity, they shed it completely.
Yeah, like CNN was referring to Hillary Clinton as like It's like, we gotta get whatever state. We gotta take Wisconsin. Like, and they just kept referring to Hillary Clinton as we.
Yeah. What you have to understand is the media threw all of their weight behind Hillary Clinton, and so if she were to lose, that would discredit the media, and it has. That's why CNN has been falling in terms of their ratings and everything. At least that's what I've heard. I mean, I don't really want to get into too many specifics because I don't know, but that's definitely what I've heard. And they've also lost a lot of credibility overall, especially through people who did vote for Trump. So, and also you have to go back to what Trump said during the primaries, which is that he was going to revoke a lot of the press, I guess, like the press privileges of these people, and also open up libel laws, which is are arguably,
that's a little scary, to be honest.
It could be scary, and also at the same time, if you have people who are publishing things like, why Donald Trump is a racist or something like that. You can see how there's a very, very fine line to go between. It's like with great power comes great responsibility, and whenever the organizations are seemingly not living up to that responsibility, you have to reevaluate why they have the power.
Well, he is someone in particular that's been really fucked over by bullshit like that, so I can kind of see his perspective.
He has, and I can see his point, and I think that there's a lot of points in both directions. I don't really know which side of the fence I'd fall under. But I think it's really important to keep that in the context that they're also, under pure self-preservation, they would want him to lose. And so you have to always, like, the way that I always look at it is that whenever coincidence and personal interests converge, it's not a coincidence. And it seems completely obvious to me, and not to ever expect people not to act in self-interest. It seems to me that they, it was in their self-interest for them to have Clinton win in a lot of different ways.
Did you see the very first gangster thing Trump did was as soon as they announced that he was winning or whatever, and he was taking his this came actually after he was going to the White House. Apparently, like the meeting between the president and the president-elect, the press are supposed to ride. And
he just didn't tell them.
No, he didn't allow them. He's like, "You're not coming in my fucking motorcade. Find your own way." So they couldn't cover it. Because like they're supposed to ride with him in the motorcade or whatever, so they can like, I don't know, interview him, and you're supposed to have cameras on him or whatever. And he didn't let them in the White House either. Obama did. So like he was like, no, you're not coming in here.
I mean, I can kind of see why he doesn't like the press. I mean,
well, there have been a lot of there have been a lot of deliberate miscommunications and misinterpretations that I feel that they've made throughout the election that has just always ended up with him looking a little bit worse. And after all of that, obviously you'd be extremely like, what would they do? They could possibly say that, oh, Donald Trump, said or appeared like he didn't know what he was talking about, and it will just make everybody second guess him even more, right? And like you don't really know what's going to happen. So, from that perspective, it's not a surprise that he did that.
Yeah,
I just think it's funny.
I think this election, dude, this election is really like. Did you guys ever hear the Michael Moore clip? Like Michael Moore is a Hillary supporter that made this like speech about Donald Trump that ended up being the greatest political ad for Donald Trump ever.
Oh yeah.
About,
well, I mean, I think
being a vote for Trump as like the biggest fuck
the
you of
biggest
all
fuck
time,
you.
and
Yeah,
it
no, feel
really
good.
is. Like seeing all like, dude, think about how crazy it is that Donald Trump won. He had everybody against him the entire time, including his own fucking party.
I
Like,
was trying
that's
to think of
fucking
like
insane.
of a story that's occurred, or like a point in history, or even like a fiction story of a point where there was that much adversity and things were that much stacked against him, and it was not like he's had a lot of people helping him along the way. It's
And it's not
basically
like he's
all
like
been
some
him.
star presidential candidate either. Like it's not like he's like the perfect candidate with all these like crazy amounts of success, but people are against him for whatever reason. Like
No,
he's a reality TV star that everyone was against the entire time and still fucking won, despite all the fucking like grab her by the pussy shit and like everything.
Oh yeah, well,
Dude, it's
I was just trying to think
hilarious.
of like there's any point in history where something like this happened on such a monumental level, any sort of like a huge upset like this, and I really I've been trying to think about it ever since it happened, and I really can't think of anything, even in terms of like a video game that something like this happened, or anything, right? It's just been incredible.
Well, did you see that there's that professor that made that prediction? Like apparently he's
Yes.
like the and so like he was right. Like he made these like 7 factors. One of them is like engagement on social media and like whatever, but it's like non-traditional polling shit that he
Right.
uses to and he said Trump would win, but he also predicted that now that Trump is going to get sworn in or whatever, that the GOP is going to do whatever they can to impeach him, to put Pence in the driver's seat, which kind of, if you think about it, like if I was the GOP, I mean that makes sense.
I think the GOP is probably a little scared of Trump because I think think about it from the perspective of Trump. Like he's a fucking billionaire. Like he wants to have the legacy of going in and like shaking shit up. Like that's in my opinion what he's going for. So like I think he's gonna fuck over the Republicans almost as hard as he fucks over the Democrats. Like
I
he's
don't
gonna
really
do
know.
shit that the Republican Party goes like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa.
But he also could just kick his feet up on the desk and just like let everyone else run it for him. And
Yeah.
he could just kind of, you know what I mean? Like
I think that's probably more likely.
Well, I think that any successful businessman, or any successful like business owner or person who's in charge, it's very important to be able to delegate responsibility. It's like
Yeah, you
Donald Trump
surround
can't
yourself
be
with
he can't
good
be an
people.
expert in like climate change, which appears to be the case.
Wait, you're telling me that
Yeah.
the host of the Celebrity Apprentice doesn't have
Yeah.
knowledge
Well, he doesn't know
climate
that
change?
stuff. So what's important at this point is making sure that he surrounds himself with people who do. And I think that's really what's going to like make the difference. And I think that in a way that other people might not really have that same experience, I think that he will, because he's been doing that as a businessman for a long time. Now I don't really know how well that's going to translate because of how many like fuck ups his campaign had. Like he went through, what was it, like there was like Corey Lewandowski, and then there was Paul Manafort, and then there was the girl that I actually didn't, it was like Cheyenne or something like that. All of those campaign managers that he had, right? And so that's the only thing that really makes me a bit worried, is because it has just only been Trump the whole time. So how is that going to translate into making decisions on things that he doesn't really know a whole lot about?
Yeah.
That's something that I'm pretty concerned about.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
well, I think he's just gonna take the, I mean, I have to do that sometimes. Like in my thing is to try to make decisions based on I don't know shit. You know what I mean? And generally, what you do is you end up just relying on the people who you trust, right? You're like, I trust you. You're not an idiot. You know what I mean? What do you think we should do? And then kind of weigh out a couple things. And I mean, it's just, I don't know. I hope and I think that it really is the case that he just shat out whatever would get him elected, and it did, and he's gonna now be a
Dude,
lot
I
more
bet I
relaxed.
don't even think he was expecting to win.
Of course not.
I think that he
Like,
was.
I bet he was
I think
a
that he
little.
was.
I
This
bet he
guy-
was like 40% surprised he actually won.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm sure he's like not necessarily perfectly expecting it, but I mean, this guy has basically been successful in every single thing that he's done ever.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like if you've had like he's had over like 500 business ventures.
He's
and,
had a lot of, yeah, but I mean,
and four of them have gone bankrupt. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a really, really good batting average.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, that's incredible, and also that's business bankruptcy, not personal bankruptcy.
Yeah, that's one of the
And-
things that irritates me when people go like, he went bankrupt like 4 times out of
Well,
like
they don't know what
500.
they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like that's just not how bankruptcy works in businesses.
Yeah, like 50 Cent declared bankruptcy, and he's not.
See,
like,
I know the Zybak, right? And I know that when he saw the outcome of this election, he thought to himself, "Now this is not a victory for the people. This is a victory for the memes." And he's excited that for the next 4 years, we're
it's just
gonna
gonna
have
be
like
liberal tears and memes.
oh yeah,
it's just gonna be meme
Dude,
fucking city.
I went on a fucking Twitter rampage for like 3 days.
I saw that, dude.
I don't know if I don't like. I'm talking like over 100 tweets easily of just triggering people and just tweeting out ridiculous shit that ended up getting retweeted like a whole bunch of times. And I made a video that got like it's like 30,000 views. And
Nice.
shit, which is good
I
for
got
my
a-
dead YouTube channel.
The election gave me my most retweeted, favorited tweet of all time on Twitter.
You said that, but I
What
couldn't
was
find
it?
it.
What was it?
The actual thing, or how many?
Link the
yeah.
tweet because I couldn't find it when I looked
the
for
actual
it.
thing. What'd you say?
I said, some lady or some person. I don't even know if it was a lady. They said like, it was a graph on like who voted for. Or no, hang on. Let me just actually find it. Twitter.
Anyway, did you guys see that that map I linked?
The map. Yes, I did.
Dude, that's crazy. So coming into this, I've always kind of thought the Electoral College was retarded, right? Because you would assume like the person with the most votes should win, right? Like that makes
No,
no sense.
I don't. I don't.
Oh,
think so
a lot
at
of
all.
people think that way, so I'm glad you don't, because I don't think that way anymore either. But dude, that map is crazy. There is so much more red than blue. Like,
Well, there's
that's
also no.
fucking
That's
insane.
not necessarily the way that I would look at it, because you also have to look at population distribution inside California. The California is the most populated state, and,
Yeah.
and Florida is extremely populated as well. So one blue square inside California could mean many red squares in one of those square Midwestern states that
Oh,
I
yeah,
actually
yeah,
don't
no,
even know what
for
they're
sure.
called. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was curious what you guys thought of the whole Electoral College, because my views have changed on it. I always thought it was retarded until I started reading up like the reasons why it exists, and I was like, that actually makes a lot of fucking
we don't have a
sense.
direct democracy. We have an
Well, the
a
reason
republic,
the
you know?
reason it got made was to protect basically retarded citizens from a politician or somebody saying whatever to get elected. Like
I think
they're
This
called a
sounds very
demagogue.
familiar.
They're called the word for it is demagogue. They're
Called
that was one of the
supporters.
reasons.
Well, there's also the tyranny of the majority, which is a very
Yeah,
big
that's-
concern of the founding fathers, and that was why they didn't want. We don't have a lot of votes on things like a lot of civil rights, right? Like things that are civil rights, like gay marriage or something like that, should not go to a popular vote. Like it's ridiculous. So we have things that kind of separate the people as
Just
as
vote
like a
black
whole.
people out.
Say what?
Just vote black people out.
Yeah, or something like that, and or like for like slavery or something like that.
Right.
And so it took a lot to really actually make that happen because of the way that the government is set up,
Right.
which is their intent is to make sure that you don't just get a 51 or 52% majority, and now these people control the whole thing. It's very important to kind of keep the people who aren't in the majority still. To give them some dignity in terms of control and what they want to do.
It is kind of crazy though that when you look at the map, like
It's
the
so
little
much
blue
more-
squares like that's half the U.S. population. And
Yes.
like the whole map is the whole fucking thing is red. I mean,
Yeah.
like, area. I'm sure if you did like an area comparison, it would be like 90 to 10,
Well,
90 10.
the arguments that I read
Something
for the
else.
Electoral College, which made a lot of sense, was that if you don't have something like the Electoral College, then like especially in a country as big as the U.S. that has such like a crazy like population density difference between different areas, is that states just wouldn't get represented at all. Like the politicians just wouldn't give a shit about
Yes.
the smaller states or the like more sparsely, less population dense things. So policies would get affected by like
California,
California. Yeah, like
Texas,
they'd be
and
like
Florida.
anybody that lives in a city. Like I don't know what sort of crazy policy example I could give, but it would start affecting the policy.
Well, they'd use like federal funds to like create like monorails or
Like
something like
really
that,
good
which would
job, like lots
yeah.
of jobs in certain areas, and I think the Electoral College is a good
Well, there were a
a
lot of
good
things
middle
put in
ground because
place.
typically if you win the Electoral College, you typically win the popular vote or it's fucking really close.
Well, I think that it was a very silly argument for people to use that Hillary Clinton should have won because she won the popular vote. Because it's like, I think the best example would be if you are playing like a capture the flag game or something like that, where there's an objective, and instead of actually winning by the points and winning by capturing the flag, you lose the match, but you say, oh, wow, look at all these kills that I've got. That wasn't the point of the game.
Yeah,
You're
they
playing.
both knew what game they were playing.
Yeah, you're playing a certain game, and whenever you're playing capture the flag and you lose at capture the flag, you don't say, "Oh, well, maybe we should go by kill death ratio instead." That's not how it should work. That the goal was to get that many electoral college votes. The goal was not to win the popular vote. That was not obviously that was good, but the real goal, what actually causes you to win, is the electoral college. So I think that this happened in 2000. I think it was with like George Bush and Al
Yeah,
Gore.
Al Gore.
And George Bush said, if I was going to win by the popular vote, I would have only campaigned in Texas, which is like obviously like
Yeah.
both candidates would have completely changed the way that they did their campaigning if the popular vote was the
Yeah,
the
which is
deciding
why I
factor.
think the Electoral College, for the U.S. in particular, is a good thing.
Well, I think that using the electoral college argument as a way to delegitimize Donald Trump from winning is very inaccurate, not only based on the way the government is set up, but also based on just the entire rules of the game, right? You
What
don't just change the rules retroactively.
what about what do you guys think about this petition to have the Electoral College say, "Fuck how you voted. I'm just gonna go in and
That would
vote
start like
Hillary."
a fucking civil war. That's
What do
like
you mean? Like
undermining.
who made that
So
petition? Lady Gaga or Katy Perry? You
no,
think they could
it's
publish
real.
it?
It's really fucking popular. It has like I don't know how many signatures. You can Google it and find, but
I don't.
Change.org.
I mean,
pretty sure
nobody.
it's
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it's stupid for one. Like, that's what I think about it. But also, it just doesn't matter what they think.
Well, if that
like well,
actually ended up
but
happening,
if they
then
did that, I mean, because the
dude,
Electoral College does have
You know what
the
that reminds me
there would
of?
be violence if that happened. There would
One
be
like
people.
equals one prayer.
Yeah, I don't think anything will actually come of it. But if that
Of course
actually
not.
did happen,
but that actually affects things.
What very much worries me
You never
is that
saved a baby by sharing a picture of it on Facebook?
yeah, you have to get 10 likes, and then the starving African child gets one loaf of bread.
Right.
Okay, and if you share it, they also get a baconator, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah, well, that's what's more important because it advertises the
Wendy's.
page, right? Yeah,
Right.
and Wendy's too. It's a double whammy. But yeah, I don't know. I think that really what worries me is that we have like this temporary victory over what I believe to be like kind of tyrannical anti-free speech and free thought. But what worries me is that there's a lot of people who are, my age. I'm 26. Zybak, I think you're a bit younger than me, and Dopamine, I think you're a
23.
bit older than me, right?
Yeah, I'm 33.
Okay, so people who are close to our age group are much more, it feels, and it worries me a lot, that they're much more willing to throw away these different, freedoms that we have just for a number of different reasons. And it really worries me going forward. And everybody has said this, as people get older, they become like more not necessarily conservative, but they have a better respect for the way that the country runs.
Yeah.
And it makes me very concerned that if that doesn't happen, I think that we can see some really, really bad stuff happening in my and our lifetimes. So I don't really know what the solution to that is. Personally, I think that they need to completely redo the education system and pay teachers like 3 or 4 times more and just take the money out of somewhere else or tax people more.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the. I don't think the spending on education. I don't think is the problem. Like we
Well,
spend more. We
here's why
spend
I,
more
here's
money
why
than
I
anyone
feel that
else
way.
by a fuckload.
Here's why I feel that way is because whenever you give people more money, like let's say it's like in WoW, like we can use this example. If you were going to pay, let's say $10,000, 10,000 gold for, do you remember like in ZA how they had the Amani Warbear?
Yeah, the timed run.
Okay, or a Battle Bear.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're doing
so
it now with the Caramounts.
if you were going to pay for just 10,000, you're the Karazhan Mount's another one. If you're going to pay 10,000 gold, you are basically going to have a very, very limited group of people who are willing to do it for that amount of money, right? But if you increase that up to 100,000 gold,
Yeah, the
that
quality,
increases the amount of people who are in the potential field of applicants. Whenever I was in high school, I had a teacher, and it was for like a networking class. And the guy was on his way to retirement because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be a teacher because he made like 20 or 30 grand a year. And in a private sector, he could make over 6 figures. So you have all those different types of problems. And I think that if they were to broaden the field of applicants through basically giving more incentives and better incentives, you could probably have better and stronger and more balanced teachers.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
I
that's
don't
my
know.
argument.
Yeah, I mean that like makes sense. Like
Yeah.
when you say it, but like we've done that so many times where it's just like, oh yeah, we have a problem with education. Let's spend more money, and they just spend more money and no results happen. Like it's happened like a ton of times.
Well, I'm not saying to spend more money. I'm saying to spend more money on a specific thing. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
right.
yeah, they try
If
that.
they
You
spend
know?
a lot of money and they build a new football stadium, you're right. I'm totally with you. It's fucking retarded. But I think if they focus on certain things, and I don't really know what to do. I really don't. But this is just like something that I think would work, right? Because of my limited personal experience. And I've seen it work also with a number of countries. I think they do that in like Norway and other countries where educators and like teachers are paid a lot more, and as far as I know, the outcome is better.
Yeah, I think the real issue with education, in particular in the U.S., is the administration. All the like, there's just tons of administrators for everything. Like, tons of people that are getting paid for education that aren't teachers.
I don't know about that. I'm not really sure how much of a part that plays in it.
Well, I know, and for colleges, that's definitely the issue.
Well, in colleges, it's also people feel like they have to go to college, and colleges have these loans that they give students. They're basically insured by the government, right? Because you can't clear
Yeah.
a student loan with bankruptcy. So because of that, they encourage people to get certain degrees or to go for certain things where there aren't jobs in that field. So if there was less of a chance, if they had to take more of a risk in terms of, am I going to get my money back for this person or not? I think colleges would be a lot more selective with, for one, who they allow or, basically give loans out to, and also how they spend their money.
Well, like that was one of my issues with. Like I'm pretty left leaning in general, but one of my issues with Bernie's whole like college should be free
Yeah,
deal
fuck that.
is like I don't really think taxpayers should have to pay for Zybak to go get a degree in fucking Russian literature. Like that doesn't really, you know what I mean? Like maybe, and I know that sounds bad because it's like, all right, why is somebody else's education and choice and all that shit more valuable than another person? But if you're gonna do that, then just pay for everyone's like 2-year associate's degree or something, and let them do the specialization afterward. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think that would be a good middle ground, but where do you really see the differentiation between having the taxpayers pay for a college education and having the taxpayers pay for, I think you said Russian literature because you feel like that doesn't necessarily give back into the community in the same way that something like architecture would, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have
Is that why it
fit
doesn't
into
have
the
like
free market
a
very well.
practical application? Is that why you use that one?
Yeah, pretty yes.
So, where would you really consider the difference between paying for a college education? I'm not really necessarily saying I disagree with you, but I don't really know what you mean. Like, so what's the difference between paying for somebody's degree in Russian literature in college and paying for somebody to graduate high school and taking like phys ed? It's like, I mean, do you really think that the
Right. Well,
taxpayers should
But
be
one's very
paying
base
for like,
level. Like,
what right.
okay,
So
so you,
like one is a baseline education when you have to be well-rounded, right? Like that's the reason that you have those things is so that you don't just sit through like 10 hours of math and science all day long, right? So you take things like fucking PE and all that other bullshit that you take in high school. Um,
so if you
the
took Russian literature in high school, you would consider that okay to make that person well-rounded, but focusing on it in college is the difference. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, right. I mean, I would argue it's necessity in high school, but yeah, I mean, largely yes. That's why I said like if you're paying for somebody's associate's degree, you're taking a lot of like baseline things that could branch off into anywhere. But if you're specializing in things like, for example, art or music or whatever, right? Like society isn't really going to see as big a return on that. Which it sounds awful, right? It sounds elitist and it sounds awful, but it's
Well,
one of those.
whenever you're gonna forcibly take somebody's money away from them at if it comes to a gunpoint, you have to be able to justify that, and that's what taxes are. I don't really know what they should do with funding college. Personally, I think that the government should not insure student loans in the same way.
yeah,
I think
that wouldn't have that would have made the whole thing not happen in the first place. That's the whole fucking problem. Like, it's why
I think
the
that
whole
that's
thing got
one
out of
thing
control.
that would help, and also I just don't really know. I think it's a much more complicated issue than I can really. I don't have the information to know one way or another. But I
Well,
I
think
mean,
that
yeah.
like,
Well, the
if you're
government
gonna
insuring
if
the
you're gonna
loans is why college is so expensive. Because once they did that, it just it gave the colleges no incentive to make it cheap. Like now it's just like it can be whatever. Like an 18-year-old kid, that absolutely believes he has to go to college or he'll have no future, isn't gonna care if it's 100 grand or 150 grand. It's kind of like a whatever.
well, it's because it's like he either does this or he's going to be a loser for the rest of his life. And the reason he thinks that is we spent the last 18 years or 13 years or 12 or whatever.
Yeah,
That'd be
being told that's the only
12
well,
way.
that's
being
why I
told the
think
same thing.
that's why I'm such a big fan of Mike Rowe, and like
Yeah, yeah.
I would actually probably vote for Mike Rowe over a lot of people, and he said that like that's what we do is we tell people like if you don't go to college, you're a piece of shit and you'll never find a job, but there are a lot of jobs and I see them because the job that I do, my customers
Yeah.
are skilled trades, and a lot of those skilled trades are aging out, right? They're retiring, and they do things like ship repair, welding, pipe fitting, like a lot of these things that the dudes that I sell to, like pipe fitters, make easily 150 to 180 a year. And they turn wrenches and they're blah blah blah, but they're doing it. They're skilled and they
Yeah,
do it at
dude,
the right
it
company.
triggers me so hard when people like think about like because I work at a car dealership, and one of the things that fucking triggers me is when people refer to like a mechanic as like a low end job. Oh my god, that triggers me so hard.
Well, it depends on what type of mechanic it is.
Right.
But
Well,
in
I
a lot
mean,
of ways, like
even just like baseline mechanics, if you're hustling, you can make good money. And now the people that work for us, we have a few GM master technicians. Some of these dudes are making six figures in Southwest Virginia, which
well,
is
they
a
absolutely
fucking
should
lot of money
because
in Southwest Virginia.
in a lot of ways, I was in computer repair a lot whenever I was younger, and I've always been like very interested in like mechanics and everything because I view looking at like diagnosing and dealing with cars and fixing cars in the same way as computers. And you look at how much they pay people for fixing computers, and more people, well, I guess probably even, but I mean, a lot of people use cars. Probably more people use cars than use computers. So I kind of agree. I think that there's been a correlation between working physical labor with being either low class or uneducated or in one way or another not appealing, right? Like it doesn't give you
people
like
have
high social
demonized
status.
actual work. It's really fucking dumb.
Well, I don't know about actual work. I mean, I think a lot of people that do things.
Yeah, well, I mean, a job where you get your hands dirty
I know what you mean.
is
Physical
demonized.
work, physical labor has been considered as being low class or it doesn't have a high social status, right? And there are so many people, especially in the U.S. now with like the celebrity culture, that they want to reach that point where they have that, like a Lamborghini or something like that. And nobody sees the way for them to get from being a plumber or pipe fitter to having a Lamborghini, right?
Even though it's completely viable.
Well, not everybody can have a Lamborghini. That's also what it comes down to. Like, there's
maybe it's just the people I know, but I know so many incredibly wealthy individuals that are like HVAC repair. Like they have like a little HVAC repair.
Yeah, it took them a
business.
while to get there, though. I mean, they had to make smart investments, and they had to, you're not HVAC repair. What the fuck, dude? You hear my kid downstairs? Like, I think she's exercising a fucking demon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I do hear it a little bit.
Oh my god, dude. I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you later. But anyway,
you getting ready to say her mother?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it sounded like.
My wife's mom is in town, so it's been like the best week of my entire year. That I've had like 2 weekends where I was just like, nah, fuck the baby. You can take care of it.
Having kids sounds so fun. Every podcast, you sell it more and more.
No, she's done cool things. Anyway, listen. What was I saying? I forgot what I was talking about.
HVAC repair.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna just take the money every month. You're gonna have so much money that you're like, you know what? I'm gonna just drop $1,800 a month on a Lamborghini payment. Like, you're not gonna have that kind of money. You're gonna be able to. You're gonna make investments, right? You're gonna get up.
That goes with everything, right?
No.
That goes with about everything. You don't really start at the top of the food chain, even if you do.
Well, there are a lot of people, and also like really, it depends on like how low the ceiling is. Being a pipe fitter or something like that doesn't have the same ceiling as being an investor or being a hedge fund manager. Right. And there are a lot of things that have a lower ceiling. Like, you can only get so far being a handyman. You can only get so far being a computer repair technician. And each different thing has its own ceiling, and there's a certain like level of, if you're doing like YouTube content, like me and Zybak know for sure, is that there's a certain level of market saturation where there are only so many people on the website,
if you just do a certain game,
online. If you do a certain game, there are only so many people that are going to watch that game. Even at maximum market exposure, you're only going to reach a certain level. But if you're making content about something that's a lot broader, like you guys know, like speaking of like YouTubers are crying about Hillary Clinton, there's like Casey Neistat, like you guys know him, right?
I do, yeah.
Well, he makes videos about like just vlogs about being in New York and what he does in New York. That's accessible, and the audience for that is so much bigger than games about World of Warcraft or Minecraft or even something like League of Legends.
Yep.
So I mean, I think that's like.
I just think the ceiling is, dramatically exaggerated. Like, I mean, these guys, what they end up doing is they learn the ins and outs of whatever their trade is, and then they start a small little business, and then that business can be fucking insanely profitable.
Absolutely.
And the ceiling is much higher than people believe it.
So what you're saying, Asmongold, is you're basically like the Trump of Warcraft YouTube.
I don't really think so. Well, I do use a well, no, it's actually, now that you think about that, now that I've drawn this conclusion, I do use a filter that makes me look pretty orange in my videos.
You do get a lot of views for your sub
count. Do you have small hands?
Actually, yes.
You do?
I do. I'm quite tall, but I actually have pretty small hands.
You know what a good strategy is to always date women with small hands.
Why is that? So they make your dick look bigger?
It's everything's
no matter what you got going on, it's a fucking 2 double fister. That's what you need.
It's good to know, dude.
That's what you need. That's what you need.
That's what I was expecting.
That's apparently a thing in porn. Like the porn star dicks are actually not that big. It's just that they get like shorter guys to where their dick looks really big in proportion to their body. It's actually a thing. I read a whole article about this shit where they're like, the dicks in porn aren't really, they're not like that big. It's just that they get, short dudes that just have the right
proportions.
Yeah. See, I'm fucked. Like, I have an above average dick size, but I'm also 6'5", so it's just like, oh.
Right, yeah.
Fuck.
Did you see that? Did you see that picture I linked? The side by side comparison of Steve-O and Cancer Steve-O, aka you.
Yeah, people keep saying that. Wait,
Did you see it? I put it on Twitter. You didn't see it?
Cancer
No.
Steve-O. Let me see that.
People like
I don't know how to
there's a lot of
navigate
people that
that.
like think I actually have an eating disorder. Like seriously?
Oh, because you're thin?
yeah.
Hang on.
They're like,
I see it.
Zybak, you have an eating disorder.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'm seeing it right. Which one is the jackass?
Link
Here
the
we go.
tweet.
There we go.
Um,
Yep, right there. So it's you and Cancer. It's Steve-O and Cancer Steve-O.
It's funny.
Yeah, people say I look like him. I guess a little bit.
Kind of
Yeah,
sort.
People say I used to look like Seth Rogen as well. So it's kind of interesting how
That's quite a
quite a
change.
transition. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Seth Rogen. So that tweet the one I have. How many interactions did that one? That was the one above it.
Jackass, you tell me.
It was the one right above it. I had how many was that? It was like 1,100.
101 and then 1,001 likes.
Yeah, that is by far my most popular tweet ever, and I didn't expect that.
See, I don't really like whenever I see like this person here that you see or which another teen Tumblr or not Tumblr Twitter girl that has like retweets pictures of like Justin Bieber or Drake or something like that. I don't really ever try to talk sense into them because it's just a fucking thank God they can't vote. You
Dude,
know?
that was the one. Did you guys see that dumbass graph that kept getting like linked around about like, well, at least we can, at least we can believe in the younger generation because they like went around and polled a bunch of fucking 12-year-olds asking which candidate they'd vote for.
Yeah.
And like every state was blue. That's the dumbest fucking thing ever.
Well, that's
like,
what I
of
was
course
trying
the
to get
pie
at.
in the sky fucking ideology goes well with the 12-year-olds,
The
not
only-
the realistic grounded one.
The only reason that so many like young people are like left leaning is
don't
because
pay
they think they're
taxes.
gonna get and they think they're gonna get their fucking like college for free. Like that's why
I
Bernie.
think that Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. I said like that. Well, that and the whole like social issues, right? Like you got to be for gay rights, otherwise
Dude,
you're
it fucking irritates the shit out. I don't know
Terrible person.
how Asmongold is, but like I'm a pretty conservative guy, but the Republican Party just goes full fucking retard so often that it just makes me so annoyed.
I heard that.
Like it'll be like yes, small government, gun rights, yes, and then like climate change isn't real, fuck your abortions, fuck gay people, and God told me to invade Iraq. And she's like, wait, what? Wait, we had like such a good start here, and then you just went crazy.
Yeah, everything was good, and then it's like what's this like sky wizard that tells you that dudes can't stick their dick in each other? Like, what is this?
The
Like,
Earth
how
is
do you
2,000
know
years
that?
old.
Yeah, how do you know that?
Oh, that's the scary thing. Is like you're gonna elect fucking Ben Carson, the fucking like education master, the guy who like thinks that oh my
Well, Ben
That-
Carson's
you're right.
also like probably one of the most like accomplished neurosurgeons.
Isn't that such
the
a
only
crazy
person to
thing? Like this
separate-
guy is so brilliant at like literal brain surgery, but yet he's like such
So
a fucking
retarded.
idiot.
Not at all. I think it makes perfect sense. If you are so technically correct on one thing, like everybody basically default, and you're so used to being right about things, you kind of have a confirmation bias of thinking everything else that you think is right too. And also at the same time, like there are different types of intelligences. Like there are people who are very musically intelligent, but can't write their own name.
I think it might be one of those dyslexia things where he's just got like a different functioning brain.
Yeah.
Where like like people that are dyslexic, they aren't retarded. It's just that their brain literally works differently, so they're like incredibly skilled at some other shit that no one else is good at, but they can't fucking read.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider myself like I don't really look at myself as like any. I used to consider myself
retarded.
Yeah, basically, I used to consider myself like more of a libertarian. But I mean, after the whole Gary Johnson thing this time around, I find it hard to kind of consider myself that anymore. And I think that a lot of people are feeling that same way.
Man,
like,
that guy.
about, like, what labels?
I'm not even sure what label I am, or if I
That
am
guy,
even a label.
Gary Johnson, right? Like for a while, he was the like, oh, if you don't like these two, you vote Gary Johnson because he's like,
Right.
he's socially liberal and fiscally conservative, right?
Right.
And like no, everyone that was a good idea until people actually realized like what a fucking joke.
Well, I
Gary
think that
Johnson
what happened is that in 2012 I voted for Gary Johnson. And in 2012, Obama was relatively well liked, especially compared to Hillary Clinton and Trump. And Romney was, like there was nothing like crazy about Romney. Like the worst thing that he said was like the 47%, and then he said the binder's full of women, and that was kind of stupid too. But there was nothing insane going on, so there was not really a lot of coverage, and nobody really put the lens over Gary Johnson. And in 2016 they did, and also I feel like somebody on his campaign told him to like get angry, and so every like interview I've seen with the guy, he just acts like he's just mad, like, and
Well,
it's just like what's going, just like it's like he's supposed to be smoking pot, like that's what I'm thinking about every single time he's getting mad. I'm like, I thought this stuff was supposed to calm you down, like
Right.
what's going on with this
well, he's
guy?
also like he got like full on retarded at the end of it. You see him like crawling on the floor and like doing weird
Yeah, like
doing
he
weird
like
things
he
in
was doing an
interviews.
interview where
The
like
tongue-
the lady was
yeah.
talking about marijuana causing a heart attack, and then he like faked a heart
Faked-
attack and was
Oh,
like
I
rolling
forgot
around
about
like
that
around
one.
and shit.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too, like I think a lot of people initially were like, "Oh, socially liberal, fiscal conservative. That sounds like everything I would ever want." But then
Right.
you don't realize that the way that he wants to achieve those socially liberal things are by going, no, 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 I'm not going to do it. We're gonna let the free market pressure the states into doing it, which is
That's like
a
the Trump
dream.
answer.
It's a dream. Like you're like you could never.
Are you telling me
Like,
Kentucky's not gonna
Well,
go
no,
for gay
like
marriage?
a good example would be House Bill 2 in North Carolina, right? There was they implement some dumb shit law, and the companies are like, no, that's fucking horrible. So we're not going to do business here. We're going to move and whatever. And like the idea is that puts pressure on the economy. The economy puts pressure on the lawmakers, and they do away with it, right? So you effectively achieve the same result without having to use the big strong arm of government to get it done. But like there's a lot of issues with that train of thought, right? Like what happens in the meantime to
Well, also, if you give the companies that level of bargaining power and that level of collective bargaining power, they'll use that with things that aren't, just social issues
Yeah.
where they can virtue signal themselves so more people buy their stuff. But I think that like really the thing with Gary Johnson is that like to me, like I saw interviews with him where he would just like get mad if somebody asked him like, why do you think your poll numbers are down or something like that. And whenever I want to have somebody who has their finger on the nuclear trigger or just is making decisions, I need to have somebody who is getting angry and is not unstable. And it felt to me like
Which is why
the
we
way
voted
that,
for Trump.
well, no, I mean comparatively, like at least he got pissed off whenever it made sense. He didn't get mad like Gary Johnson ever did. I never saw him get mad like that.
I think Gary
And it
Johnson's a
was
little unstable.
and it was a different type of getting mad, and you could tell by the way that he was acting. It was, if I was around this person in real life, I would try and get away from them because you don't know what they're going to do. And at a point where an individual gives a response that's so dramatically different and unpredictable, I don't want to be around that person because you never know what they're going to do. And I think that's why, so many more people have tried to like distance themselves from, I guess, like being libertarians, right?
Well, I think part
Because
of it is like the Trump effect. Like when Trump came out like talking shit about like when the whole Rosie O'Donnell thing went down, like as soon as it became
Yeah.
apparent that Trump talking shit was helping him, like especially in the Republican
Primary.
nominations, like did you notice that like everyone just started talking mad shit? Like the debates just turned into like the Comedy Central roast of the next Republican nominee.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's really what it turned into. Like they were talking about each other having small dicks and shit. Like what a fucking election this was, dude. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, and I think that like
Trump,
really,
he's got small hands. Must have a tiny dick, right, guys?
yeah, you know what they say about people with small hands.
right.
Yeah,
And
and
the
I
Trump
don't know.
response to it. What a fucking god. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
there's no problem there. I was just like,
I can
I was
assure you there's
amazed
no
that he even
problems.
I was amazed that he even brought that up, and it's insane, really.
Now
I don't
he is
really
the
know.
most powerful powerful person in the free world.
Yeah,
Like,
you just
what
got
the
done
fuck?
calling like girls fat on Twitter. Like, you can do anything, guys. Don't let your dreams be memes.
Don't let your dreams be memes.
Yeah, it's crazy. So dopamine. What made you not want to go get on the Trump train? I'm kind of curious. Is it just kind of the unpredictable nature, or what?
I just
His wife.
no. There's like a couple
his wife.
things like
Yeah.
well, she doesn't like Trump, but not. I don't give a fuck, dude. But I just don't. I think that I am a little worried that they might get a little tired of Trump being hard to control and try to use some bullshit against him, like the Trump University or the this or that or whatever to put Mike Pence at the seat in charge. And I was a lot more worried about Pence than I am Trump. Like I'm not really worried about.
Mike Pence actually looks like the guy that would like disband the Avengers.
He
Like, he looks like the
the
kind of guy that would do that.
He looks like the guy that would give someone an exorcism.
And then disband the Avengers.
Yeah.
But the exorcism part is probably true. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right. He legitimately probably has performed an exorcism, and so
that's where the Republican Party loses.
Well,
like,
he
so
wanted, it's very hard for me to know what's actually true. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that we've learned in
the
this
electroshock.
cycle.
Is that where you're going with the gay people?
I forgot about that one. I was thinking about actually the women needing to have a funeral for their unborn children whenever they.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's insane. Whenever they had an abortion.
That's fucking crazy. That's crazier than electroshock therapy, in my opinion.
I heard that Ted Cruz wanted to make a bill that would only allow women to own one dildo.
Seriously? I think I heard that too. Sex
Yeah.
toy limiting thing. I did hear
That's
that.
fucking retarded.
So you got to think about that, and like that kind of person could have been the president, and like so you think about, he sits at home and he thinks about that. All right, should it be one dildo or two? And like if it's a married woman, should she not be able to allow any dildos because she should have her husband? And if it's a single woman, should it be one or two, or should you not have any? And then he had other people who are being paid a salary to help to advise him on should it be 1 or 0 and how to deal with different things. And whenever you think about that, that's scary.
And I wonder why the Republican Party struggles with the youth vote.
Well, not just the youth vote, the people who aren't crazy vote. I mean, like, that's insane. Like, what are you going to fucking have the dildo Gestapo
police
going around, like, confiscating dildos because somebody has one,
the
two...
ATF of fucking sex toys?
Have you guys seen this meme?
Which one? But yeah, it does make me a little bit nervous that the, what do you call it? That the House, the Senate, and the presidency are all controlled by Republicans.
Right.
Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely.
If they actually build that fucking wall,
yeah, that's good.
Did you see that meme?
I'll eat a shit.
Yeah.
Zybak.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Speaking of,
you see the meme?
Yeah, the silver bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Funny.
It's not
Dope. You're in the hot seat now.
What are you talking about?
You lost the bet.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
By the way, Asmongold, I bet Dope long time back that Trump.
You didn't bet shit. You were like, I don't know, and I was like, all right, we need to bet something to make it interesting.
All right, what's it gonna be?
I gotta
post a picture on the
Reddit
Roast Me subreddit.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, exciting.
It's not
Dude,
crazy.
You're gonna have a link to the post and the video
Realistically, this is what's gonna happen. You're such a boring fucking person that you're gonna post it and it's not gonna do anything. It's just gonna sit there and it's gonna get no interaction.
Yeah.
You can write my fucking sign. How does that sound? You can write my sign, and you know what? I'll give you the fucking picture with the sign that you spell out, and then you could make the fucking post and write whatever you want. Like, I'm a stupid bitch and I lost this election bet. Fucking roast me, whatever you want to say. That way, if it fails, it's completely on you. And if you don't like the picture, I'll take another one.
I've got a good one. I'd be like, I cried at the election results.
There you go. See?
There you go. That actually might get some.
All right. I'm going to send you the picture and you can post it. You let me know what you want on the fucking sign. I'm a man of my
Just
word.
do
Literally-
I
but,
think
like,
you have. I think
literally
you have to
shake
do
it.
the R roast
Yeah.
me. I think you just have to do that. I don't think you can get too creative with it. They've got like rules.
What?
They've got rules. I think the sign can only say roast me. I think
Something like
it's
that.
really
So-
it's really particular because they don't want people like posting random pictures of random people.
or like some person like in their school and they're like, all right, yo, I'm gonna tell this guy, all this like really good stuff.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's
If
for
you-
like anti-bullying.
If someone was to or were to roast you, Asmongold, on Reddit, what feature do you think they would make fun of the most?
Do you think I can only pick one?
No, we can pick a couple.
Okay. The fact that my teeth make it look like I'm a rabbit. The fact that my hair makes it look like I'm going bald. It actually doesn't make it look like I am going bald. The fact that you guys play Legion, right?
Yeah.
The Withered.
Yeah, I
You
can
look
see
like
that.
a withered?
Yeah.
I don't think you look like
Yeah,
a
dude.
withered.
Somebody commented on my YouTube
Uh,
video, my most recent vlog, saying they needed to feed me some mana crystals.
Yeah, people ask me that all the time, and I even made a joke about it. I said, the reason they never run away from me is because I'm one of their own. I mean, like, I don't know. There's a lot of things people could make fun of me for. It doesn't bother me at all, though. I really don't care.
You just look like one of those. You just look like a good old boy from like Kentucky that would be
A good old boy. I gotta be like
The-
220, like one of those like crew cuts.
No. You're like the really skinny redneck that wears like the
Oh
hat.
yeah, with
It's that-
with a yeah, dude, with a
Like you're the
cigarette
guy on King of
rolled
the
up
Hill
my
that just
sleeve.
says "yep" or whatever.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah. Oh, Boomhauer.
Yeah, I don't watch that show, but you know which one I'm talking about clearly.
Yeah, I do. Is it more like Dale, but I don't know. Either way, I know what you mean. But yeah, people make fun of me all the fucking time. I love it. I love it.
What state are you from?
Texas, Austin.
Oh yeah, you went red as fuck over there.
Have you guys seceded yet?
No, thank God. Now California's thinking about it, which is just I thought that was just the most ridiculous.
They don't
thing.
even have fucking water.
Yeah, I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, there's like they're not going to succeed. Like, I mean,
No, it's just a bunch of fucking.
it's just
crybabies.
ridiculous. They're just mad.
The fact that people are protesting democracy is hilarious. Like that's literally what's happening right now.
I think that
They're protesting democracy.
that's not entirely true. I agree the protests are ridiculous, but also I think there's a bit of double standard because there was almost an expectation that if Trump lost, there would be riots, right? And there would be a lot of violence.
I
And
don't think so.
well, there was an expectation. I mean, you really don't think that would have happened?
Well, there was also the expectation that every single person that voted for Trump is like a fucking racist, deplorable individual.
Oh, right. I understand that, but there was still a huge expectation that would have happened if Trump had been elected, and we can't really know if it will or not. But I think that it's completely possible, and especially given like how there have been violence at Trump's rallies before, and
That
so
is something I was wrong about. I said there was going to be a death at a Trump rally, and it didn't happen. But there's still time.
What odds do you give of Trump actually being assassinated?
0.
Higher than normal.
0?
Yeah,
You give
zero.
us 0%.
It's not going to happen.
don't-
If Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you strike me down, I'll be more
oh my
powerful.
god, dude, that's
Never
a
mentioned.
fucking.
If
Have
that-
you seen
that's
all
what-
the memes on the Donald? Like that's gonna be the next fucking meme. If he does get killed, it's gonna be people posting like if Donald Trump gets assassinated, people will literally be posting Donald Trump Force Ghosts.
If he
memes.
does, I mean that's the thing is that if something like that happens, basically everything that he wants to happen will happen. That could be in order to make what he wanted to have happen come true. That would probably be the best way of doing it.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump doesn't want to go that route to get it done.
No, I don't think so. I've got a pretty good feeling, but I don't know. I just don't really think it's going to happen. It's unlikely. I mean, nobody assassinated Obama, right? And that didn't happen whenever he was the first black president, and there was such a very recent like trend of like very bad racism like in the 60s and 70s, and that was only 40 years ago. And so many of those people that were alive then were still alive at that point, and now, and none of that happened. I just don't really
far
think
more
it'll happen.
hated though than Obama.
I think it's a different type of hated. Like there's like people don't like Trump because of what the media tells them, but a lot of people don't like Obama because didn't like Obama because he's black. Like that's just it. They're racist, and that's all there was to it, right? Even before he got elected. I think that it's very unlikely that it'll happen. Secret Service is like very, very good about that stuff. Now, could it happen? I mean, of course, anything
I think
could
there's a
happen.
higher chance than normal, for sure, that it would happen.
I just find it unlikely.
But I think it's highly unlikely.
But
Still,
if that happened, I mean, that will galvanize like the conservatives and that movement that he's created permanently.
he will be a fucking meme force ghost.
He'll be like, I'm trying to think of like a person. They'll consider him like JFK or something like that. And even if that's not
Dude,
like really,
can you imagine if that actually if he gets assassinated and then throughout history he is referred to as like one of these great presidents like JFK, and they like
He was
they read off the quotes like
he was the change bringer
yeah,
that never got to do it.
Do not
Yeah.
what's the JFK quote? Ask not what you can ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And then right next to it is Donald Trump. I just grab him by the pussy.
yeah,
that's
only Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Man.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't really think
What
it's
if
gonna
Trump
happen.
is actually like one of the greatest presidents ever? Like, and this whole thing is just hilarious. Like 8 years of prosperity under the Trump regime.
Well,
I tell
I
you
think
what,
that.
though. Good.
Oh, I was gonna say I think it'll happen either way because, usually economies go up and down, and things are seemingly going up at this point, or at least like staying up. And I think that things will go well, at least for the first term, and the second term will kind of be more of an outcome
The
of.
second term, you think that's a foregone
We're already
conclusion?
counting our chickens.
Well, I mean, what? I mean,
then
like
Trump will be
most
leader of Earth.
presidents that win once win twice.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's probably what's going to happen. And
You don't think that he's pretty much guaranteed the left to take the next election?
no, I don't think so at all. Until the liberals and the lefts decide that being white isn't being a racist, and not wanting illegal immigration doesn't make you a racist, and not thinking that people should be forced to bake cakes is being like a homophobe or something like that. Until they get rid of that language that automatically demonizes people off of things that they can't control or things that are semi-reasonable, and they basically shut down discussion. As long as they shut down discussion, they will keep losing. And I don't think that Bernie Sanders will run again because he's too old.
too old.
Yeah, he's gonna die. Yeah, he's on his way out of life. What do you like? What so? The race thing is like, God, dude, like that's such a hard problem to like solve. What's your positions on? Like, do you think that so? Like, you can't say things that could incite or jeopardize public safety, right? Like, you can't just run around screaming about emergencies or whatever. And in the military, you can't say whatever you want,
Right.
Because service discrediting, and there's a lot of other reasons. Like, do you think that the forefathers made the First Amendment right to protect speech like that, or do you think
Yes.
that was made to protect against criticizing or fear of retribution of criticizing the government? Like,
Well,
should racist shit still be protected by the First Amendment?
Well, of course it should,
Yeah,
to the
everything
extent it doesn't call for violence. I think that's the freedom of speech is not there to protect popular speech. It's there to protect unpopular speech, and that's of course what it's there for. You wouldn't need freedom of speech if everybody disagreed on everything, right? I mean, it wouldn't even make any sense. For me personally, like I have grown up in like a neighborhood where, I've been like the minority as like being white in like my high school, in my neighborhood. I've never really looked at like my skin color as like a something that I define myself
White male.
Well, no, I just don't really ever think about it, right? I just never do. It's not part of my identity, I guess.
You identify as not identifying with it? I got it.
Yeah, I just don't identify it as that. It just doesn't like have anything to do with me. But at the same time, I can see how a lot of people are like frustrated because they see things that are like, like if you look like Black Lives Matter, that's been, I feel like the worst thing that they've done is that they have compartmentalized the issue of police brutality and the lack of accountability in police, which is a real thing, to being a racial issue. And the truth is that a lot of people of all races, have bad experiences with police and are hurt by police, and compartmentalizing it as a race issue has in my opinion, hurt not only them, but the population as a whole, and has set back the progress that needs to be made with dealing with police officers that don't do what they're supposed to do. And I don't really know, like, obviously, like, there's always going to be people who are racist. That's just always what's going to happen. But I think that the best way of dealing with it is just letting people letting things run their course. And that's why I've said before about like the free market of ideas, is that if there's somebody who's like a racist moron who's like spouting out like KKK talking points, that person is going to be made.
Itself. Yeah.
Yes, the market will correct itself, and that person will be made to be a fool, and people will learn that sooner than later. And trying to censor that person turns them into a victim in a lot of people's minds, and creates the discussions that we're having right now, where at any point in time where we have to defend a person saying things that are indefensible, which we have to, in my opinion, because that's what the Constitution says. But at the same time, it's very it's a bad position to be in.
I don't think that it shouldn't necessarily, but what was I going to say about that? I forget. What I do think is a problem though is everything we see and read, and like all these like election results and all this shit, like all of that is through the lens of race, right? Like you see like 67% of whites voted, or white males voted for, Trump,
Right.
and only blah blah blah. Like I think a lot of
voted for,
I think
blacks.
the media plays a really big part in keeping these race issues alive, because the more we talk about the differences between blacks, whites, Hispanics, all that kind of stuff, and we break things down and we compartmentalize people, it just fuels that narrative that we're not all the same.
Well, identity politics, identity politics has been like really big in, I guess, like in the media and in culture for quite a while. And I think that there are a lot of like legitimate things that are structuralized racism in the U.S., but the truth of the matter is that I don't really think that talking about who's a racist and who isn't a racist is the solution to that. It's always easy to look at a certain person and say, is this what this person said bad or not? But what people should try and look at doing is, what can we do to make things better, right? And I think that, pushing to have like police use body cameras is a great first step. And like different things like that help everybody. And, if black people have to deal more with police than white people, it's going to help black people more, right?
I think
it just makes sense.
Yeah, I have a pretty unpopular opinion, but I don't really I don't think that I think racism and all that shit is completely overblown. Like I just don't see it. Like,
I don't really see it either.
I feel like
as a person,
people just, the victims are glorified
but
now.
You're
like,
you're also a dude who doesn't
victim.
really go out of your house.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean
also,
that
if you're not necessarily experiencing it, like if you're a rich person, you don't really know the same plight as somebody.
I just don't know any really actual racist people. Like everybody
So
has
everybody
has their prejudices, right? Like if I see, so like for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm on an airplane and I see someone that looks Muslim, that is bald-headed and sweating profusely and looks very nervous. I don't hate all Muslim people, but I'm gonna, in the back of my head, I'm gonna maybe have a little bit of a snap judgment more than if it was a white guy that was bald and sweating and looked nervous. Because everyone does that.
Yeah, I think
to a certain extent,
all over the place. It's like the same thing as that people think that like white kids are going to shoot up schools, right?
Yeah, well, and that's true because white people fucking do that. Like
they're more prone
stereotypes exist for a reason, because a lot of times they're fucking true.
Well, also, like I can give you an example for myself. Like there was a kid that lived across the street from me, Cameron, and I basically like we grew up together, and I was over at their house, and like our families were like really really close, and they were black, and we were having a party at like my other two friends, like Cody and Jeff, they're like brothers, at their house, and there's this girl, and we were going to swim in her pool, and he didn't want Cameron to swim in the pool because he thought that Cameron would get it dirty. And to me, that, I mean, the guy, It was ridiculous, and that was really the only point where I had known any friends that had told me that they'd experienced anything like that. Now, obviously, it's really hard to look at a situation and say, if I was a different person, how would I be treated in this situation? Like, there were situations where I was treated badly, like I was called like white boy in school or something like that, but that didn't necessarily change the way that people treated me as an individual. It just changed what they called me, right? And for the most part, even in being like a minority in my own community, I never really felt like discriminated against in any real way. But it's hard to really say what actually is racism and what isn't, because you can't look at what would this person have done in this situation with another person, right? You can only look at those two people and what happened right then. So it's hard to say. I don't think that racism's like over in any way.
It's never going to be over, but I just
it'll
think it's
never be over.
dramatically overblown.
It is.
I don't.
There's a lot less. I'll definitely say that.
Well, there is, but you still have to realize that, like, in places like Atlanta and in places like Baltimore, like I'll say you and I say me, we're not exposed to the same kind of like shit. You know what I mean? Like, you're not living in like an assisted housing fucking place, and you're not like in a like, it sounds bad, but like people of our stature aren't really going to be exposed to racism because we're not in those situations.
Dude, I live in Southwest Virginia. Yeehaw, honky tonk, NASCAR.
Well, that's from my perspective. Like, we live in kind of like a lower middle class, like lower class neighborhood, and like many people here are, like you don't see any Mercedes around where I live. You don't see any like real Escalades or anything like that.
Except the Ferrari that you get from your YouTube.
Yeah, dude, I'm waiting
money.
for that. I'm waiting for that. But yeah, I mean, like I think that's part of it, right? Is it like if you're at a lower income level, I think that you can see a lot more of that together. Like the way that I've been treated, I've never been treated like badly by anybody really. In terms of like a person from another like race that I thought it was because like they didn't like that I was white or something like that.
Yeah, like
people have referred to me as being white, right, or like white.
Yeah,
boy
like when they called
that,
you fucking like white boy in a derogatory way. I'm assuming you didn't go racist because it just probably wasn't racist at all.
I just said, shut up, bitch.
It was just shit talking and
I didn't. It didn't really.
The term racist has been so stretched out to the point to where like if you say something like, for example, like crime in black neighborhoods is higher than white neighborhoods, you say that and it's just racist. It's like, no, that's just fucking true.
Well, I think that's part of the problem, is that it's very difficult to really address problems if you want to pretend like they don't exist.
Well, I mean, the other thing is it's difficult to address. It's difficult to unify people when you make statements like when we talk black white at all. Like, nobody, and this is why racism is such a hard thing, because like ideally, if you really want to get rid of racism, you wouldn't say crime in black communities is higher or whatever. You would say, hey, there are some communities where crime is really bad, and we need to fix that, right? And you wouldn't make the distinction that it's a black or white or whatever. You would just assume that it's people who live there. That's the idealistic like.
Yes, but people's
approach.
Brains don't fucking work like
that. The problem though is that white people nor black people want to do that. Like they want the result that comes from it is that it's the same.
Well, it's a survival.
It's treated the same.
It's his fucking survival instinct. You fucking correlate things like that's how our fucking brain works.
Well, if you want to look at things from idealistic perspective, I mean, of course that's what would work idealistically. But if there was any sort of a confounding variable across, like if everybody that had like a red car, got in accidents more often, you'd want to look at like red cars, right? And so if there's any sort of a confounding variable, you want to figure out like what's really causing it. And like in lower class communities and neighborhoods in general, there's usually more crime. Yeah. So it's like you don't want to look at like just communities in general. You want to look at lower class communities and see what is it that causes people in these communities to perform these actions. And I think that the more that we pretend like things aren't happening or that things are happening or whatever it is, the farther away from the truth that we get. And if we want to look idealistically, we look at things on how they should be and not how they could be. And I think that's the first step, whenever you take the first step and you're going in the wrong direction, I don't really see how anything can be productive.
Well, my point is that, like, you talk about, they have affirmative action for minorities for colleges, and they talk about special funding
Which is
for
fucking so racist.
schools and things like that. Like, yeah, I just don't. I don't think you need to.
Racist.
Right, but I don't think, I personally don't think that distinction is necessary. Like,
No,
if you
it's
have
not.
if you have an underperforming school district, right, and like kids from this area, they got it hard, right? Like there's like coke dealers in their fucking class or whatever, right? And like they can't study because of it. Then you address that community, but you don't need to assign funding to a black community. You don't need to allow blacks to have lower standards to be admitted in school because they don't, you perceive them not to have the same opportunities, right? Like
The bigotry of low expectations.
right.
Yeah,
like
dude,
what
it's
you
like-
need to do. What you need to do is make sure that address why they don't have the same standards of education. Don't lower the fucking standards. Like, that's the problem I have with that shit. It's not, I don't want to address the problem. It's that they're addressing the wrong problem.
There are so many different confounding variables. It's really kind of hard to know where to look.
I think the biggest thing is this, like, if the problem actually is going to get fixed, like, people need to, like, man up and, like, actually take responsibilities for the problems that they have. Because, like, the real bitch of the situation is stereotyping works incredibly well. Like, Israel stereotypes the fucking shit out of everybody. If you look like a terrorist in Israel, and I believe it's Israel, that has the safest airport in the world, they blatantly stereotype. And I mean, it's just.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, but if you're, it's like you can have a type 1 or type 2 error. You can, throw something out that's accurate, or you can let everything pass and let something go through that's wrong. Of course that's possible. But whenever you look at stereotyping, I think that, like, yeah, it's like most people that, I think there's a larger percentage of people who are gamers than people inside the larger population or outside the larger population. Inside the gaming community, I think that there's a higher percentage of them that are introverted than in the general population, right? And
Probably, yeah.
so if you look at those general trends, I think, like, you just have to look at different things and try to approach different, I guess, like, those different attributes and how to deal with those different attributes. And I don't really know what the solution is for at least in my mind. That's why it goes back to, like, the education and everything like that. I think that, like, creating communities and, like, making people feel like they're part of something that's bigger than themselves is probably the best way of making people more successful in general.
Well,
The thing that, just a second, the thing about the race, the thing that gets me, and the thing that I think the reason that Trump did so well and that the polls were so fucked up is because there's this perceived responsibility or onus or whatever you want to say. Like if you're white, right? Like, if you say, like, I'm proud to be white, like, that probably is a racist thing to say, but it shouldn't be, right? Like, there's this. It's almost like you shouldn't be proud to be, like, the not underdog, like the favorite. You know what I mean? But, like,
I'm a Patriots fan.
Right, but so, like, there's a lot of this, like, I saw a lot of, and I'll give you an example. Like, after the election, right, that thing that I responded to was that tweet. It was a graph saying that, like, white people voted for Trump. And it was a white girl who tweeted that out and said, let's be crystal fucking clear who's responsible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's white
Yeah.
people because they want to protect their interest, blah, 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 like, and they pretty much blamed white people for that shit. Which, and then Sogoges, who's Slootbag's girlfriend or wife or whatever, basically said, like, there's a lot of this white mentality that's, white people are the victim, blah, 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 and just all. I just think that, I think the whole, like, you shouldn't.
I think the whole victim culture is the problem.
Yeah, it's
Right.
there's
It's
glory
like
in being
there
a
shouldn't
victim.
be the oppression Olympics, and
Yep.
everybody's trying to find different ways how they're the underdogs so they can talk about different issues, because if they don't feel like they're the underdog, they don't feel like they're able to, or they have the credibility to talk about different issues. And I think that's why a lot of people stray away from talking about different issues in like different racial communities and everything like that, is because they feel like if they do talk about that, they don't, since they're not necessarily part of that community, or they don't have enough, points in terms of like their oppression column or whatever, that people will perceive them as being bigoted for having an opinion that isn't, very benevolent towards like whatever those people want to do. And I think that's really the problem. And I think that if blind people did vote overwhelmingly for Trump, then that's a point that should be discussed, and you should look at what the cause of that is, right? Any sort of change like that, any sort of discrepancy like that, is worthy of note, and it's worthy of I don't know, like I don't think you should just like sweep it under the rug and pretend like, oh, these are just these people, because whenever you see that much of a difference, there obviously has something to do with it.
Well, it was the same, I saw a lot of this shit, and you guys probably did too, but like, Trump lost Florida by what, 80,000, and there was 120,000 votes for third parties, like, GG fucking idiots, you caused this, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, they fucking didn't. Like, only 49% of the entire population voted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it was lazy. If you want to blame somebody for Hillary losing, it was lazy Hillary supporters who were arrogant and figured that she was going to win no matter what. And like blaming people who voted for Gary Johnson, it's...
I think
Jill Stein is the one that's been getting demonized.
Yeah, because she said a lot of bad stuff about Hillary Clinton, and also like a lot of people. It's not like somebody was like, "Yeah, I was gonna vote for Trump, but I voted for Jill Stein." Yeah, that probably doesn't happen. It's like either voting for Trump.
Well, that bitch is crazy.
Gary Johnson.
I don't know anything about her.
I think that I wouldn't vote for her, but I think that there are things that she says that make sense. I think that's really the problem.
Okay. I would fucking hope so.
Yeah.
I would hope there are things that she says that make sense.
Well,
she also says that like fucking cell phones can cause
Wi-Fi can damage people.
Oh my God.
And also there have been no longitudinal studies that don't or do prove that. Like, it's very hard to do a study on that.
Nuclear power is like the devil and blah blah. She's fucking.
There are a lot of reasons for people to be concerned, and I think that the problem is that this election has shown, has lowered the discourse to be where you either feel like everybody on your team is 100% right, and everybody on the other team is 100% wrong.
That was not just this election. That's everybody in general.
I think that this election has exacerbated it to a point to where it's at a crucial point and a critical point where normal discourse is no longer possible in a lot of ways. Like, I was like watching different videos for whatever reason. I think it just came up with the YouTube, like the autoplay thing of like discussions in 2012 with the election then. And there was no, these emotionally charged, like accusations and everything like that. Things were much more civil. And I think that we need to get back to that. And I was watching like an interview with you guys know who Sam Harris is? Well, he's a pretty known like atheist skeptic. Do you know who Sam Harris is, Zybak?
I've heard him on a podcast before. Yeah.
Okay, so he said that one of the big problems with politics now is that it's kind of like teamism, tribalism, where if you knew somebody's, this is I think the example used, if you knew somebody's position on, like, let's say gun rights, that would also probably inform you to an extent that it shouldn't about their position on climate change, two unrelated issues. And I think it's people who are picking a team rather than listening to what each individual says and saying, like, not everything that Jill Stein says is stupid. I think I would not vote for her. I would not vote for her. I would vote for fucking Gary Johnson over her, right? But that doesn't mean that a lot of the things that she says are smart. And, people that support her deserve to not be written off as being crazy. And I think that's really the problem, is that we just write somebody off. If you're a Hillary supporter, you're just, a mainstream media sheep. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a racist. If you're a Gary Johnson supporter, you're a privileged white male. If you're a Jill Stein supporter, you're crazy. And all of these different things have been labels that you put on somebody to just completely shut down a conversation, to where there's never any sort of discourse and common understanding ever met.
Right. And then the thing that underscored that the most was that tweet that I tweeted out, right, was basically saying, hey, let's just not fucking point race fingers. We don't need to do that for 4 years because that'd be horrible. Right? That tweet right there, you had some people were civil. The large majority of people. So I was arguing for, come together, middle ground, heal, blah, 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 like that whole deal, right? Like that's what I was arguing for. But there was some vile fucking shit that came from, the white male right on that. You cannot have a civil discussion anymore with anybody who may share differing political, or the race thing. Nobody talks. Sides just get fucking angry. And that's, I honestly don't know how we solve that without some pretty like draconian fucking hardcore measures.
I think the way that we solve it is the way that we're solving it right now. Is like, you voted for Hillary, I voted for Trump, and so is Zybak, and we're sitting here having a conversation. Oh, you didn't vote. That's right. Good job, buddy. Good job.
You're the one who fucking cost us. You're the one who fucking cost us.
Okay.
Dude, and people got so mad when I said that I didn't vote in my video talking about why Trump won. They're like, "You didn't even vote? How dare you ever have an opinion?"
Well, that's the other thing that I think is ridiculous. Is like, so and this is Micro says this too, is that celebrities will say like, "Oh, you must get out and vote. Well, you have to, blah blah blah." But I don't want somebody voting that has no fucking idea what they're voting for. And the people that are telling you to get out and vote are only doing so because they think that you'll vote the way they want you to.
Particularly, they think you'll vote fucking... It's always aimed at young people who are more likely to vote
left. Right.
Well, exactly. It's more aimed at people, like people tell their audience to vote because their audience is more likely to share their political views. It makes perfect sense. But what I'm saying is that I think the conversations that we have now, and just sitting down and talking about it and saying, well, why do you feel that way? Why do I feel some way? And then what's really the solution? Because I think that a lot of people get lost in the rhetoric and they forget that everybody is trying to get to basically the same place. They want to make things better, right? People who sit around like we do and talk about this care about the future. They care about how things are going to go. And I think that there needs to be more of a mindfulness of that both people want things to be better. And people are arguing more or less how to get there rather than if we should get there at all.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's gonna be at least it's gonna be interesting for you.
You guys wanna change gears?
What do you got?
To what?
I winged the GRE, by the way. Speaking of school, you know what the GRE is, right, Zybak?
Yes.
No, I know you do. I meant Zybak.
Would you say what the GRE?
The GRE.
Graduate record exam?
Yeah, the thing that you take to get into grad school. No, I winged it. So I haven't been in school in about 11 years.
So you have no idea how you did?
No, I know how I did. Because as soon as you click the last question, it tells you how you did and then asks you if you want to delete your fucking test. It's like, here's how you did. You can save your scores and this counts, or you can just delete this and we'll pretend it never happened. Like that's what. So the test is first of all, I had to contend with this, right? Like, so I'm trying. I have this GI Bill, right? So they're gonna pay me money to go back to school and I get free tuition, right? So I'm like, fuck it, I might as well just use it. So that's what I'm using it for. But I had to contend with the fact that the whole time I'm doing this test, and there's like reading comprehension and other bullshit on it, that part of my brain was like, while I'm reading about like 18th century German romanticism and like it's kind of hard to understand because they're worded fucking ridiculous, my brain is going, you don't have to do this, right? Like you could get up right now and leave, and your life would just go on as normal. Like there's nothing keeping you here. And I had to fight with that the whole time. But so it's a 4-hour fucking test, 6 sections, The first fucking thing they make you do, like right out of the gate, are 2 half-hour essays.
Oh my
And
god.
the first essay, I sit down, take this test, haven't been in school in forever. It's support or refute the idea that the effectiveness of a country's leaders can be largely determined by the well-being of its citizens, or is largely dependent on the well-being of its citizens. And I was like, all right. So I was like, that would be too hard. And I was like, we just had an election. So, and then I got done writing about it, and I ended up writing a pretty long point about Obama's presidency and like a couple of points of that, because it's kind of hard to fucking think of examples like on the fly. And then I realized that if anybody is a Republican and reads that essay, that I'm probably failing. And then the second one was on like the artificial price regulation of milk in a fucking made up country. But anyway, I got it was like that retard like high school math that you never use in your entire life, and I also didn't use in college because it doesn't apply to anything like x greater than and less than things and like simplifying complex variables and shit like
algebra.
that. But it's like not even like useful algebra or like retard algebra. So anyway, I did pretty well though, man. I got like a 75th percentile on averaged out.
So did you pass?
Yeah. That means
Congrats,
that means that over the course of after 11 years, I'm smarter than 75% of the other retards that are applying for graduate school. That's pretty cool. I was pretty happy with that.
It is. It really is.
So
isn't the proper way to say that you're in the top 25th percentile? Not top 75?
No, they go by the larger number.
Like usually you say you're in the top 10%.
Yeah, because I know like on Master Overwatch I was in the top 1%.
Well, it's like
I think
in
you
school,
can say it either way.
Yeah, I think that it depends on like how low or high you are.
Yeah, dude. I don't miss school at all though. Fuck that. I definitely don't regret my choices.
It was real, man. The temptation just to get up was real. So I was like, oh, don't have to be here. This is so awful. It's like, yeah. But
Well, what are you gonna go back for?
MBA, which is oh god, I don't care about business. I just want the money.
Want more money.
It's
I was thinking about going for
$1,500 a month plus free tuition and books. So for 2 nights a week. So it's basically a part-time job.
Right.
How long is the entire thing to do?
As much as I want, but I'm probably going to take about 2.5 years.
Yeah, 3 years, I think. Yeah.
Oh shit! It takes that long?
Well, I mean, like whenever you do your 4-year degree and then 2-year degree is usually the master's degree is usually 2 years above that.
Oh wow! I didn't realize it was that long of a process.
Yeah.
I figured it was gonna be something you did for like a year.
No, dude. Well, I mean, like some people do it in like a year and a half. Especially if they're already in a corporation and they want that person to get corporate training in order to move up in the ladder. Then they do it a little bit faster.
See, you don't have any of that, do you, Dope? You're just doing it on the off chance that you'll get paid more one day, right?
Well, it's not an off chance. I mean, like having an MBA. I mean, come on.
I don't need it, like to for my current situation. Like I don't need an MBA, but I don't plan to be at this job forever, and it's one of those things that like just can't hurt kind of deal. So, and a lot of people look on it favorably. So I'm like, fuck, if they're gonna give me a free one and they're gonna pay me, like, I'll do it.
Yeah, and you definitely should.
I can't there's an executive one and then there's a flex one. So the executive one is you have like 6 years of experience, you're a professional experience, you're a manager somewhere, blah blah blah, and they put you with other like executive management level people, and it takes about a year and a half, a year and a half, and it's shorter, but it's on weekends. It's like it's every Saturday.
See, that just seems so crazy. It seems so crazy to me that like they have like you're already leading the shit, like you're already a manager. Like what the fuck? Like how is any of that shit? How is any of that shit that they teach you gonna be like?
Let me explain. Basically, because I was in business school. I have a business degree, and I've been considering either going to law school or going and getting a more like complex business degree. Because like, you know, I'm kind of in the same spot. It's like where are you going to go after YouTube or whatever. But basically like you have to know about ROI, how to make decisions, and what?
I said the fucking soup kitchen.
Oh.
You didn't hear it. That's fine. Continue.
Okay,
ROI.
okay. Well, there's a lot of things like, like understanding ROI, knowing how to, and the biggest thing is like being a manager is like dealing with people,
Yeah, but that's one of those things where like these people are already managers.
No, 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 no. See, that's the thing is that
Let's
you like, have you ever like led a guild or anything like that?
I've done similar things, but
Uh,
go ahead.
well, I mean, like, all right, yeah, anything in real
Not
life. Like,
yeah, like
there are things that are going to happen that you don't even know what to do about them because you don't even know that they exist. And I think that classes like that make you more aware of those situations occurring, and that's just from like an HR or like a personal level, dealing with like personnel and everything. And then you've got to deal with regulations, how to deal with regulations, marketing and everything that's in between, like systems
yeah. I mean,
management.
I guess I just
there's
am. I'm more of the
There's a lot
belief.
to it.
I'm more of the belief that you actually doing the job is the best training you get. Because I mean, I look at my dad and like all the people in my family that have these really successful businesses, and it's
Right.
not because they went to
but
school.
but see, here's the thing, like leadership, like real good leadership is a thing that you c- you
I feel
have
like it
to
can't be learned. I think
you
it's one of those
but
things you just have to
it
like be
it
immersed in it.
you do, but if you have a really good teacher, you can not short circuit, you can shorten the learning curve or lessen the learning curve on because Asmongold is right. Like you encounter things that you would never fucking even think that you would ever have to consider, right?
I was making like plans for like if they ever made like legacy WoW servers for like who would be like the officers and the leadership for like other like overflow guilds because they'd probably have more than 1,000 people, and like I had all these kids who like 19 or like 21 or 15. They're like, oh, I'll be officer, I'll be your guild leader. Like, bruh, you don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah,
Like you
you
have
know,
no idea what you
fuck
were
fan
doing.
guilds, dude. That shit never
Well,
works.
no, I mean, like, I think it would work in a different way. I wouldn't be doing a fan guild in that way. But what I'm saying is, like, they don't know, they don't have those leadership skills because they haven't experienced it. Like, you're right. The best way of doing it is doing it. But the problem is that, like, it's like if you're a company, do you want to take somebody that's got no experience and just say, hey, man, like, hopefully you're going to get better at this. So just go ahead and have
Well,
at it.
yeah,
You
and
can't
that's the
have.
thing is like that. So the Navy does this, right? Like the only requisite for being an officer in the military is a degree. So they take people that have degrees and they send them to the Naval Academy or whatever, right? Those people, a lot of those people, a large portion of them turn out to be they either learn how to be
Or
a
they
leader
don't. It's sink or swim.
or they fail miserably, and a lot of them fail miserably because you can't just put some like people just don't.
You,
It's learned, but there's also you have to be the type of learner that can absorb the lessons. Like there's a lot of battles. Well, I mean, the Navy's a little different. Like I feel so from because I had a really rough first tour in the military. Like I had a super shitty captain on our first ship who was just awful. Like he was a good leader for what he knew how to do, but he was not a good leader of different people. Like for example, there are some people that you motivate by yelling at them, right? And by
Yes.
just getting angry at them. There are some people that you motivate by telling like showing them how they failed the greater organization or they failed you or disappointment, right? You motivate some people that way. You motivate other people with encouragement and positive reinforcement, right? So like knowing how to implore different tactics like that in different situations and being able to read the social cues of individuals is a large part of being effective, and that's really hard to teach that shit. But so what difference between the executive and the the other MBA, I qualify for the executive one. I just couldn't do that one. But man, leadership is like the owner of our company. Well, I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but you've had good, like, I don't know, Zybak, you probably haven't had, I mean, how many jobs have you worked outside of your company? None.
not any like
It's fine.
serious
It's
ones.
fine if you say none. Okay, none.
Not
That's
any
what
serious ones, no.
right. But
Well,
most
other
people
than
have,
being
right?
self-employed.
you know when you have a good manager and when you have a shitty manager, like how much difference that makes in even the same job.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and it's just it's right. Dude, he's right. Like
Yeah, I guess I'm just
it's
very
interesting.
wary of higher education in
We
like
had a manager. I used to work at the IRS. We had a manager who we wanted to order pizzas for a party, and he wanted pineapple pizza, and nobody else wanted pineapple pizza. And so we went around doing Roman numeral checks on what type of pizza. And whenever it came back around that there was only one check, no, two checks, because he put two checks instead of one because he's the manager and nobody could tell him differently. And well, I put three under
this is how
pepperoni.
our government works,
No,
people.
I put three under pepperoni. And
This is where your tax money goes.
yeah, he wouldn't order it, and the other manager had to order it for us, and he locked himself in his office and was trying to place an order to get smoked salmon delivered to the building, and wouldn't take anybody's questions because everybody betrayed him because nobody wanted pineapple pizza.
So the other thing too is that the reason that like things like this MBA are effective is because there is not can't teach you can teach some good principles of leadership, but if like let's say Asmongold's a great leader and I'm a great leader and you're a great leader, but somehow you fucking made a genie wish and you became one. We would lead in very different ways, but we would all three be effective because your leadership style has to match your personality. Like if you try to lead in a way that doesn't match your personality, it's going to come across as really fake, and people are going to be able to read that instantly. So the goal of fit programs like an MBA are to teach you like the baseline leadership principles, but more so is to share the experiences. Like that's why they require you to have worked for an amount of time, because they want you to share those the experiences that you've had
Have
with the rest
something
of
to
it.
build on.
Right. So you want to be able to say, here's what I encountered and here's what I did and here's where it did or didn't work. Right? Like that's the idea. It's more of it's group think, like a group teach kind of deal than it is just the professor spouting out a bunch of shit to you.
I can give like kind of an example that has actually happened for me in that exact way. Is like I have a leadership style where I'm very, very much top down. People, whenever I say jump, they jump. Like I have everything happens an exact way. And if somebody does something wrong, I say, oh, look, we've got another Helen Keller in the raid. And I'm just a complete asshole about it, and I yell at them, and then they get better or they don't. And this isn't for everybody because in my guild, right, I don't do that at all. I never do that. But whenever I'm dealing like with a pug or like just a random group of people, I do that. And I've seen people who have tried to emulate my same leadership style themselves, and it has just been the biggest train wreck that you can possibly see because they don't have that same experience that I have. They don't know exactly how to communicate. It doesn't match how they are. The way that I'm doing it, it's kind of funny, right? But at the same time, people understand they need to stop playing like that. But whenever they do it, people feel like there's just this asshole that's yelling at them and being mean to them, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
you're completely right. And other people would sit down and be like really, really nice about it. And if I tried to do that, it wouldn't come across well because I'm just not that kind of guy. So
Right.
everybody has to find their own way in terms of like leadership. And for me, like whenever I was younger, like there was a guy in my old guild, and I considered him to be the most successful player that I knew of. And so I emulated everything that he did, especially whenever it came to raid leading. And I would yell at people, and I'd call, are you fucking retarded? You're terrible. You should kill yourself. Like all this other stuff. And people, it didn't go over very well at all, even though it went over well with him, because I didn't have that respect that he did. I didn't. I wasn't part of multiple server firsts. I didn't have this amazing gear. I didn't know everything perfectly. I wasn't at the top of the meter. I didn't have that level of respect, and so whenever I did the same thing, it just didn't work, and I wasn't taken seriously. And a lot of people need to realize that you can't just emulate somebody else's leadership style and think it's going to work for you. And that's what business school, in a lot of ways, especially with like like leadership classes, are meant to teach you. That there's so much more to leadership than would, I guess, like be assumed.
Right. Which is why I'm worried I'm going to find it kind of boring. Honestly, like it's going to be a little AG because it's like, all right, I don't know. I don't want to say I know everything about leadership. I certainly don't. But a lot of the lessons of that stuff, because like in the executive one, I feel like I would do better because there's like other, you could share like higher level experiences. Like there's going to be a lot of like baseline shit in the one that I'm doing, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I wanted the retard MBA anyway because I want it to be easy. But like Rignaros, dude. Like no, like not if everybody tried to lead a raid or a guild like Rignaros, like that would be funny. Number one, but that would be awful.
NBA James.
And also Blood Legion failed, and
I would say
that's also
that.
another,
I mean, they were successful for a long period of time. I mean, everything comes.
but they stopped being successful, and I think a lot of that had to do with like the way that he dealt with raids, and it's like if you deal with things like that and being able to be malleable, and I think that the biggest problem and what I've seen more people fail because of more than anything by a mile is not being able to change the situation that they're put in. Like, not everybody needs to be yelled at. Not everybody needs to be coddled along and talked to after raid about how they're really great, but we just need to have them do something a little bit differently. Everybody has their own little way that you have to deal with them. And if you try to apply, an ex-Marine drill sergeant's approach to one of those people, they just leave, right? Or if you try to, coddle them and pat them in the back, oh, you're so great, you're so great. You just need to do about 10 times better than what you're doing right now. They'll just won't take you seriously, and they'll say, fuck you, I'll just keep doing what I want. So it's like you have to figure out exactly how to deal with certain people. And there are people who are also just problems. I mean, like, let's be real, there are people who are problems. But for the most part, having problems with employees or having problems with other people usually comes down to a breakdown in communication between leadership.
Well, that's why,
in my opinion.
That's why, like, a lot of the. So, I mean, Zybak can speak to this one, I'm sure, but like, that's why, like, when people. I find it a lot of times people do this when they don't understand the difference of like how to communicate to people and how to get change. When you look at weight issues, right? Because a lot of people that are in shape or people that used to be fat and got into shape will get on Twitter and or Facebook and post the most like how, oh, that's disgusting, look at this guy, and they'll post a picture, or they'll be like, you're fucking, how could you this and that, whatever, and they think they're helping by not enabling like a lifestyle of like body acceptance. There's also the other side of it is like, yeah, I don't want you posting like your fucking 300-pound picture and being like, I'm proud of myself in a bikini, right? Like,
I'm healthy.
Obviously. Well, the difference is that one is that the fucking Care Bear shit isn't working clearly.
Well, neither one is really going to work all the time. It's like that person.
Neither one's going to work all the time. But
that person
the whole body acceptance thing is fucking toxic and is clearly not working.
It absolutely is. But at the same time, it's also toxic to use that same approach. And that's actually like Dopamine's bringing up a really, really good point. Is that person internally, that's probably what they told themselves, right? So they're trying to tell what they told themselves to other people, and other people aren't them. So how are you going to use what worked for you on other people and expect it to work? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yeah. To some people, you're being helpful. To other people, you're being hurtful. Like, that's my point, is that it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Sure, yes.
You notice that
people respond differently to different stuff, but you definitely shouldn't like demonize like the people that get like really butt furious about like somebody's intense, like, I don't know, motivation.
Yeah.
For doing something.
No, and I use that as an example.
Like, there's a lot of dudes that go in the weight room and fucking scream and yell at each other, and they have their workout partner that just fucking yells at them, saying like, "You got one more," and they're fucking screaming at each other because that's how they get, that's what pumps them up.
What they like to do.
Running. Like, I hate going running with other people. Because, like, I don't want someone there, like, being like, oh, come on, just a little faster. Like, shut the fuck up. Go away. Like, you are not motivating me. I am motivating me with my own fucking internal shit. So I mean, it has nothing to do. I'm not talking about weight to talk about weight. I'm saying that it's another example of people trying to apply a blanket strategy where it's not.
I don't know. I think it depends. I mean, I think for the most part, people that like seriously do like actual weight training that aren't like fucking around generally have like a cheerleading squad of like the other people they lift with that are fucking, you know.
I think it's mostly.
I think for the most part, the people that are hyper successful at things have a more intense viewpoint.
Well, of course, and also because they do it so much more, it's a bigger part of their life, and because it's a bigger part of their life, they have more people involved in their life that are part of that.
Because I mean, if you look at like all of the like top, like this, like if you look at anybody that's like any fucking YouTube video you watch where it's like a dude fucking bench pressing, I don't know, 700 fucking pounds or some crazy bullshit. There's always people like,
always that intense. YouTube. Because that dude's like all super into that shit. But
I mean,
one of those guys, is there a dude who's really super fit?
But you don't ever see the dude doing a 700-pound bench press and it's dead fucking silent. It's always like
because he's not recording himself.
Yeah, exactly. Because he doesn't set out.
It's not a
recording. The only reason you do a 700-pound bench press is to be on fucking YouTube.
Yeah,
you don't do one to like.
Well, no, I'm just saying in general, the people that are like I don't know how to really say this. But
let me go fucking pull a train with a chain attached to my fucking teeth. You don't do that because they enjoy it. They do it because they want the
trying to show off.
Right, the notoriety.
Well, yeah, I'm aware of that, but
they can do it.
I'm aware of that, but I've also been in the gym where there's that mentality of like you have another person there that's pushing you,
and if you like that, that's good for you.
Yeah,
like that's fine.
Well, I think it's actually a better way to do it because if you have somebody holding your feet to the fire that knows when you're giving up on yourself.
But you can't know that unless you work out with somebody like that all the time.
Which is the way they do it.
I think that the point that we were trying to get at is that for you, that works really well. For me, that kind of works well. For dopamine, it doesn't work well with running. For everybody, it works differently. And for some people, what works really well is coming into the gym at 3 a.m. and just working out all by yourself very, very intensely for an hour or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do.
And leaving. You know, you don't need somebody else to fucking, oh, yeah, you could do it. One more, bro. One more. You know, no, you just chilling and do it yourself. Do that every night, and that's it. And, you know, I think everybody's a little bit different. I think that's the point. And, like, you could do that with a buddy of yours, and he goes and he does his stuff, and you do your stuff, and whenever you finish your set, you just watch him or whatever.
That example that you used about, like, let me pull you aside and talk to you about how you can fucking do better and, like, where you blow. Like, that is perfect, because that is so fucking irritating.
That shit never fucking existed.
Like, if I wipe the raid, like, I wiped the raid a couple times back in my day from really stupid shit. Like, I was on you remember G-Kun, right? Fucking Bird and Throne of Thunder? I was tanking the I wasn't a tank. I was just helping out our fucking guild because we didn't have one, and I was blah, blah, blah. But I was a brewmaster, and I was tanking the fucking nest, and my fucking fat thumb was sweaty, and I hit my fucking 11 on my Naga, and I went rolling off the thing and fucking died, and we wiped, right? And I'm like, oh my god, like how blah blah, blah. Like I know where I went wrong. You know what I mean? Like I don't fucking need you to like. Let's just go back. We'll be all right.
Well, it depends on like the type of mistake. It's like, you know, to me, it's like if somebody makes a mistake that's ridiculous like that or pulls the boss early, you know, I just say
twice in a row or something.
Yeah, I say, you know what you're doing wrong, and they're like, yep. I'm like, you know, you fucked up. Yep. Okay. Come on. Like, let's tighten up. And then I say, everybody tighten up. You know, it wasn't just him. You know, we had other mistakes. And that way, that person knows, and they were called out, and everybody knows that that person was called out. So there's nobody thinking that, you know, we're just not addressing problems. And then also, I bring it around full circle, and I talk about everybody and what everybody else needs to do so that person doesn't feel singled out. But there's still, that problem is addressed, but it's not all the pressure is on that person, because if you do that, then they're just going to fuck it up again, probably.
Right. Yeah.
I'm curious.
There's a million different ways of doing it.
I'm curious what you guys think of the legacy server shit. Nostalrius kind of got a little crazy.
I hope Blizzard buries them. Honestly.
Why do you think that? Why do you hope that?
I think that Blizzard made again. This I don't know what they did. No, we all don't, right? We have like the secondhand fucking thoughts, but I think that Blizzard, they shut them down because of legitimate concerns, with their patent law, all that shit. They invite them in to have the discussion. They tell them why it's a challenge for them. They get their insight. They get all this, they pretty much learn from them. And they're like, all right, we got it. Let us think about it. Let us analyze the business case. And we'll let you know what we decide to do when we decide to do it. And if they just fucking don't ever bring it up, I mean, that's all you could expect from the company, right? Like, and just to say, we've given you ample time, and you haven't given us the answer that we want. Therefore, fuck you. We're just going to release the source code, have everybody like free for all, have at it. I think that flies in the face of, Blizzard trying to, you know what I mean? Like, I just think
they extended the olive branch, and now they're just like, fuck you.
Right. So I hope that Blizzard fucking buries them. I think that, Blizzard, not accepting the answer of, we have looked at legacy servers and decided that it's not in the best interest of Blizzard, our shareholders, or the Warcraft community in the game. Like, you have to accept that answer. And if you
That's
don't...
not what they said, though. That's the problem. And I think that's why a lot of people were frustrated, is because if they said that, I would say, well, fuck. And
what if they're still thinking about it?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that, like, I think, personally, I think that it could have all been a larger thing to kind of get the community to stop talking about legacy.
It's exactly what that was.
And I think that's what it was, because after Blizzard met with them, they didn't follow up or respond to any of the emails, and they said preemptively that they weren't going to talk about legacy servers at BlizzCon, and they've been very gray about how they feel about them. And I think it just feels like we're being strung along. And as somebody who's wanted legacy servers, I don't appreciate that. If they're just still thinking about it, then they should say, we're evaluating, if this makes business sense or not. And I think that just a level of communication on a more candid level would quell a lot of concerns. Now, is Nostalrius right in releasing the source code? I don't know. I didn't want them to release the source code, but you can't necessarily blame them for doing something that they want to. Just because Blizzard tells them not to, it's like they're not from the United States. Like, they're not like that. Those aren't their rules. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they didn't sign up to play by those rules. I think a lot of it
came down to how successful Legion was, and the fact that Legion has been successful, I think, kind of killed legacy servers.
I think for a lot of people it hasn't. I think.
Well, I think it killed the Blizzard's idea of making them. Like, if Legion came out and it fucking flopped just like Warlords, I think that Blizzard might be considering.
At this point, Legion. At this point, when in the cycle of Warlords of Draenor, a lot of people were still in a pretty good mood about the expansion. So
really?
I don't really. Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean,
I guess that shit got old for me.
You also realize that you're dealing with the most quality conscious, do not take risk company that exists in video games. So there could be like things that, you know what I mean? Like the answers of how much damage they don't have. Like that was one of the things, right? Like the data on how much health things have, how much damage, your spells did or whatever. Nostalrius recreated it based off videos, and they did a pretty good reproduction, right? But like Blizzard would have to do that either to just take their shit and use it, or they would have to do some sort of recreation, right? Like there might be Blizzard.
They have a version of the old game. They confirmed that they do.
Yeah, a version, right? You have to decide on which one, and like, do you stay with that one forever? Do you do bug fixes? Like how much?
Well,
I don't
obviously
know,
there are complications. I mean, I don't really think that anybody expected it to just be an easy thing like that. And anybody that is naive. But at the same time, I don't really think that the problem, is entirely and like it's completely Nostalrius' fault.
No,
and really, I mean, you can't really blame them for doing something that they think is right. I mean, like, yeah, Blizzard should try to deal with it, right? It's completely within their right, and it's even part of their responsibility as a copyright holder. Like, I think everybody
they have to defend the trademark.
They have to defend it.
Yeah,
and that's what they will do. but we'll see like what happens with it. But the fact is that Blizzard hasn't said anything about legacy servers for like a year, and people have been asking, and there's just been no confirmation one way or another, and people just want some sort of answer. And I don't really think that asking for at least a more detailed answer as to where the status is out of line at all, especially with
No,
so
I
many
mean,
people
sure,
who are involved with it.
but just to say like, I don't know. I just think saying like, all right, the source code's going on the public market because and then the way they phrase that shit, and then that guy Mark Kern, who's
That
the
guy irritates me so much.
yeah,
That guy is so irritating.
I don't know. I just find it.
I felt like the first petition that he did and everything that he did at the beginning was really great, and I was really happy that he did all of it. I think the second petition that he made to have people ask about legacy servers at BlizzCon was nothing. There were no positive outcomes of that.
Well, if
And
you know the guy, he's like just like the biggest attention whore of all time. Like
well, I mean,
with
I
the
don't
whole
really,
Firefall
I don't
shit,
want to look the what?
the Firefall, like he like ruined like a
Oh,
game
I don't want to
studio.
look at like what else this guy did. I
Yeah.
don't have anything to do really with what he does. I'm just looking at this action that he took. I mean, I'm sure the guy is an asshole or he's not. I don't really know. But what I do know is that what he did, in my opinion, basically hurt more than it helped. And I made like I wrote some stuff out on like Twit Longer about it. That basically I feel like as I said, any outcome of like asking about legacy servers at BlizzCon whenever they already said they didn't have any new information. Uh, it was
Right.
purely
You don't
a
want to
waste of
poison
time.
Blizzard. You don't want to poison Blizzard against your cause either,
Well,
right?
it's
You
for
don't
like
want
other
Blizzard to
people.
hate
I mean,
the
if you
legacy
have
people.
obnoxious assholes like going around and saying legacy servers, give us legacy servers, everybody else that's like on the fence about the thing or is just kind of they're not really part of this one way or another. They just like play the game. Whenever they think legacy servers, they're going to think, oh, like that obnoxious guy screaming during the presentation.
Right.
Like
That's how Trump gets
that's
elected.
right.
Speaking of obnoxious during the presentation, like, was it just me or like I don't have any feelings one way or the other about that trade chat chick, but she hosted that Q&A and she did it in the most irritating fucking way I think anyone could host a Q&A.
I
Like,
didn't watch it.
oh, you didn't? Did you watch it,
No.
Zybak?
No, I didn't have the BlizzCon ticket thing.
Oh, I had people in town for BlizzCon. That was kind of fun, but I farted on a guy on accident.
That's good.
Complete stranger, by the way. Not anybody of my friends, but
That's disappointing.
Did you show it up at your house?
no, we were downtown and we had went to we were just gonna go out Saturday night and we went to get hibachi or whatever, and I don't know, I was farting a lot, and we were walking back to my car, and we were in this parking garage, so sound echo or whatever, and I thought this guy, one of my friends, Spence, I thought he was behind me, and I was a little buzzed anyway, so I didn't really care too much, and I was just like, like, and like, and then I heard like, oh, nice dope, like you just farted on this guy. And I like turn around and there's some like huge dude. He was like 6'2", like probably like 250, like just big dude, older guy, like walking behind me, really like kind of close. Like, he's probably like a couple feet behind
Going
me.
for that ass.
And out of fucking
got it.
nowhere, and I turn around, I was like, oh, and he goes, don't mind me. I was like,
What a response.
I was like, sorry, bro. And I just kind of laughed the rest of the way. So yeah, I farted on a guy. But she just like, she tried to be like cool and contentious with the devs, like the whole time that they were doing this Q&A, and it was just, I don't know, it was fucking irritating. But like that's the thing, right? You don't want your movement, right? The legacy movement to be like thought of as like the fucking annoying,
Obnoxious
entitled
12-year-olds that are crying because they didn't
entitled-
get their way.
Yeah, that's what it kind of. That's
Or
what it
as we
kind
like
of
to
feels
call
like
the
to
left.
me. Right.
Yeah.
the left.
Well, that's the thing is that there are a lot of people who are like it's the same thing where it's like you have a lot of people who voted for like Hillary, and they're just, oh well, we lost. That
Oh, I'm
sucks.
just making a meme. I
Well,
don't
no,
actually.
I'm saying like you're right in the same way. It's just a completely perfect comparison, and you have people who are protesting, and then everybody just kind of assumes that, oh, people who vote for Hillary are, like immature or something like that. It creates these stereotypes, and the legacy server and private server community have not really done themselves any favor in creating stereotypes of people thinking that they're a bunch of like self-entitled or self-important, like kind of not really kids, but young people that just don't really have any thoughts of like trademark or intellectual
Yeah, like when I
property
made that video
or
talking
business
about
or anything like that.
like why legacy servers aren't a good idea, when it was like really like I made like a really contrarian
Yeah.
video. I don't know if you ever ended up seeing that or not, but
Well, we talked about that actually on the last time I was here.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
people lost their minds. Like when I brought up the thing, because no one was talking about like the fact that they have to defend the trademark, and I brought that up, and people were like, "You have no idea what you're talking about."
Well, yeah, I mean, of course they do because they're 12-year-olds on YouTube. I mean,
Yeah,
like, they're just idiots. Like, I can see that there are legitimate problems and concerns with the legacy servers. I think they should add them in and just bundle them with the subscription fee for Legion. Like, if you have an active subscription to Legion, you should be able to buy legacy servers or play
Or
legacy servers.
or have like a
I,
subscription plus, right? Like
I
$15
don't
a
think
month you
that
get
will work.
Legion.
I don't think that would be a bad idea. I think that if they make it a baseline subscription and they repackage the entire game and they sell it as the World of Warcraft, 12th anniversary or, Ultimate Edition or something like that, Legacy Edition, and you buy that box and it has Legion in it, and that's basically what they're selling. So they're calling it World of Warcraft, but it's actually just Legion, and you'll be able to play Legacy at the same time. I think they would be able to offset the costs, and that is coming from absolutely zero research. I have no
yeah.
idea. I have no idea. I think that seems like it would work, right? And I wish that they would at least say, "Oh, it doesn't work," right? We did the accounting and it just doesn't work at this point. That's all I want to hear. Well, that's not what I want to hear, but that would be the
So
second.
you're in the pro legacy server group?
Oh, absolutely.
Wait, because
I'd
you
love
would
to
play
see
it, or
legacy servers.
because it's good for your stream, or because you as a player would legitimately enjoy that experience again?
All of the above. I loved playing vanilla. I loved the type of progression that it gave me. I felt like I was more a part of something. I felt like
But to
uh,
do it again, you would like to go back and like fucking. I don't. I say fucking. I didn't mean like.
I get it.
You would just like to go back and like I. That's just
I
old
want
content to
I
me.
want
Like,
to
Yeah,
what
I
I
just
want to
I
do.
think there's a strong member berries mechanic
Well, let's say
in a
that
lot
there
of this.
is. Let's say that there is. Do you think that that in any way discounts the movement?
I think it
Or
discounts the long-term profitability of legacy servers and making and I think it maybe makes Blizzard not want to do it because they know that it's a nostalgia thing that'll wear off. Like what an interesting case study will be is the remaster of Call of Duty 4. So Call of Duty 4 got remastered recently.
yeah,
And if that stays alive, if that game actually stays alive for the long term, then maybe Blizzard will be like, well, maybe that maybe that nostalgia trip actually has some lasting value there. But if it just dies off, like I mean, I know it's a completely different genre of game, but
hmm
it's the same premise of people complaining, saying we want a game like COD 4, so they went and remade COD 4 with modern graphics and shit, and people are playing it and they like it right now, but who knows how long that'll be
Well,
until
I
well,
think that
how
whenever you look at something like the server costs or anything like that, uh, I don't know how much it costs to keep a server up, but ultimately people I would assume would go back and forth and maybe occasionally play legacy servers, and it would augment the content that they already have in Legion. So it would give people something else to do. And also, while there might not be a ton of people who are going to just consistently play legacy servers, until for the next 10 years, I don't really think that would be the experience that they would be going for in the first place. With a lot of games, it's okay to have a game that doesn't, just go on infinitely, right? And I think that's completely fine.
well,
What?
do you think that
Uh,
it would make the community like having legacy servers would make the community more apt to challenge their new ideas for future XPAC. Like, you know what I'm trying to say.
I think that it would put them into perspective better. I don't know, like, if it will make people more willing to challenge them, because ultimately I think that vanilla, like, what it really did is it gave people a community, and it wasn't like really more of it was like, I use this example a lot, is that it was less of a game and more of like a fantasy world simulator, and you could go in there and there was an entirely different community and people you interacted with, and your actions, there was value and weight to your actions. If you ninja looted, people knew who you were. And it was less likely for you to find groups. While you're leveling up, you saw the same names. You go to the server, you see the same people in the, in the city, and all of those things, and the feeling that not everything is available to you, but it's possible to get there, was something that meant a lot to me, and that's why I would like to see them add that back.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
I remember playing that, and I totally see where you're coming from. Like, one of my fondest vanilla memories was, like, because when vanilla came out, I was 12 years old. I was a fucking little retard that was terrible at the game. But, like, one of my fondest memories was walking through Ironforge and seeing this gnome warrior with the full dreadnought set.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that is so sick. Like, I'm a level, like, 47 druid who's just a nobody. And I just think it's so cool that this guy is such a fucking badass.
You screenshotted him or whatever.
Yeah, no, it's just cool to, like, be in that world where, like, there is such a disparity, and, like, there is such a... Like, there is that progression, as you said, like... And that's one of the things I think WoW fucked up on was... I think the raid difficulties are fucking terrible.
Oh, they are, and I feel like right now,
it was in BC and Classic, where you progress from raid to raid, not from difficulty to difficulty.
Yeah, it's not a reward, and now it's like whenever you hit like 110, all the content is basically available to you. You just go and do it on easy difficulty, and I just don't really feel like that's rewarding and a fulfilling. More important than rewarding, a fulfilling experience. I think that Blizzard has been focused so much on giving people rewards that they don't make people feel rewarded, and that's what's really more important. I don't think that anybody that thinks that they're going to have the same feeling and the same experience that they had whenever they first started playing vanilla is delusional. Like Zybak, like, you're not going to have the same experience. I won't have the same experience. Yeah. Nobody will.
Because we know the formula. We know the...
also, it's like there's something special to them. You're 12 years old. You're just understanding and coming into a world that's bigger than yourself and seeing how much farther you can go. And, like, now that we're older and we've already done it once, that's it. We've already done it. We can't... It's like going through high school again. You can't go through high school twice. It's not going to be the same experience. And... what really bothers me is that I feel like that experience changed and gave me a better perspective on life, and I want to be able to know that the 16-year-old, 14-year-old, 12-year-old neckbeards of today, the Asmongolds of today, can have that same experience that was so important to me. And I don't really feel that the game delivers that anymore.
Yeah, I think for the most part, video games in general have gotten considerably better over the years. Except with the exception of MMOs. I think MMORPGs have actually gotten worse, and I actually feel sorry for the people that never got to play, like, the good ones, like the original iterations of...
I mean, I'm so, like, when I go into a new MMO... Wait, before we leave Legion, I thought about this the other day, and, like, so people at BlizzCon are really a fan of world quests. They like them, like, a lot more than dailies. Generally, but like, what about world quests make them different than dailies? Because really, they're dailies. They're just dailies that you have to actually go to the place instead of going to the hub. That's the only difference.
There's the difference in rewards. You don't really know what you're going to get from each one. Also, there's a little bit more control in the player's hand in terms of which one they're going to do. They're not always available. It's not like you just log on and you do the same thing every day. Also, it feels like you're actually doing something like that matters within the world. I think that's a big part of it.
I guess that's it.
Those squirrels are out of control, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like, I was doing
And
that
crack
with
those
Cobra,
nuts.
actually. Yeah.
I think they should have a lot more of them up. Because, like, after they fixed that patch that was supposed to, like, make the variety bigger, it feels like there's way less overall dailies available. Like, I want, like sometimes, like, Kirin Tor, right? There's exactly 4, sometimes less, Kirin Tor dailies up when you get that thing. You know what I mean? But, like, it'd be really nice if like, in a zone there were, I don't know, 8 instead of, like, 5. But I don't know. I like the system. I think that
I really like it too. I think it's probably one of the best things that they've added. I think that they should add a daily hub back into the game. Hopefully, like Tomb of Sargeras will be one of those, like the outdoor area. But I think that daily quests or world quests have been probably one of the biggest and most important things that they've added because it gives players a reason to explore and go out in the world and interact with each other and cooperate with each other and just see each other, see other people.
the only thing I don't like about it is the way, and you've probably made like several videos on this that I just haven't seen, but I do think though that they have some lessons learned and they fucked up this legendary system. Like, I don't really like the legendary system of Legion. I think it could have been done a lot better.
Yep.
So
Are you talking about the RNG or I guess that's artifact. Never mind, it's
I'm
different.
talking about the imbalance combined with the RNG aspect of.
Yeah, at first I thought you were talking about like the artifact or I guess you're talking about the random drops.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like
Yeah, I never ended up getting
the
one.
the fact that someone could have 3 before you ever get 1, they get the best 3, and yours is complete dog shit. In
Or the
my
people
guild,
that got it
doesn't
for the
matter.
wrong spec.
Well,
Right.
the problem, see, here's the problem that it comes down to is that they implemented the same Diablo 2, the Diablo 3 system, right? Like, did you ever play Diablo 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know the legendary system has just been ported over to WoW. And the difference between Diablo 3 and WoW is that WoW is a game where you have to rely on the cooperation of other players. And whenever you have to rely on the cooperation of other players, there's a point where if you are being outperformed by another player, that other player will usually be chosen over you. And at 2 players of equal skill and all other things being equal, if one player has a legendary that's really good and one player doesn't, the guy with the legendary is going to come out ahead. And whenever somebody is, not taken to a group, and this is what's going to happen, and we've already seen it start to happen already, is that now guilds are starting to require players to have legendaries to apply, and it's just going to be.
I remember you made a video before Legion
I
even
said
came
that, yeah,
out.
I said
You
it's going to
that it
happen.
was
I mean,
exactly
like,
gonna happen, and it did.
Yeah.
They could have done a lot of. They could have made, when you get a legendary, quote unquote, you just get an orange fucking token that you turn. They could have done that. They could have given you an actual legendary,
Or
like
just not made
like
it
they've done.
fucking
No,
RNG.
hang on. Like they've done, they could give you an actual legendary, and then for that legendary plus, I don't know, 25 or 50 bloods, you can exchange it for the one you actually fucking want. Or, like you said, they could make it not. There's so many not RNG. There's so many ways that, make the first one deterministic, and the second one or the third one can be RNG or something. I
don't know why they
Hope they don't.
they could have one be like a long quest chain with like crafting, and you have to get an item off a boss and craft it like, I don't know, like Sulfurous was.
I think that what they should do is they should add in more deterministic elements to it. I think they should keep everything exactly how it is and add in legendaries from mythic raid bosses. Like if you get a plus 15 keystone done and you do it within the timer, inside the chest is a legendary for one random player in the group. That kind of stuff is fucking awesome because it gives players who are very, very motivated and very serious and very competitive a way to actually offset that RNG while at the same time giving players who are just casual players still something that they can get excited for right before they open their box. But I do think that legendaries, that's not really, I don't really feel like it's a good legendary system anyway. I think it's stupid. I think they should add in another tier of gear so it's not a legendary item. What I think they should do is like they should make legendaries from like in bosses and mythical only. Like that's my opinion. It's like getting like Warglaze Vazanoth from Illidan LFR would not have really mattered, right? It would have been ridiculous.
It'd been stupid.
Like,
and it would be cool for mythic. I mean, it would be cool for the mythic raid scene for sure. I mean, it is kind of nice as somebody who, so I stepped back from Mythic raiding. I actually didn't think I was going to play Legion much at all, other than super casually. But what we ended up with was I have a really good raid team now, comprised of all Mythic raiders, who we raid on Friday from 8 to like 12, 11:30, 12.
Mhm.
And we have, we had Heroic Emerald Nightmare on farm the first week. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So like,
yeah,
so we clear it super, super fast. And now anybody who wants to bring an alt, you know what I mean? Like you can get the tier gear and it's like, it doesn't matter, right? Because we clear this shit so fast. It's nice that we can get, the legendary does feel good that I don't have to go to Mythics to get that or whatever. And a side point, you might disagree, but I'm a big fan that they put tier recolors back in LFR, because Warlord LFR was the worst thing that has ever existed in this game. Because people like you may like, I don't know, fucking Warrior tier 19 LFR recolor, and you with your fucking big dick gear are going to go in there to do that, right? In Warlords, you didn't have that. You wouldn't fucking touch LFR at all. You know what I mean? So giving somebody some incentive to do LFR, I think, is a positive.
Well,
so that is,
from my perspective, I don't think they should have LFR in the game at all.
Right.
I don't think that it adds anything. I don't think it adds anything good into the game. And the gains that it does give, I think, are more than offset by, what I think it takes away.
trivializes the game.
Well, now that they
It
have
does.
the group finder, I don't think you need it, because the group finder, you can, if you want to raid and you have some decent eye level and you're not an idiot, you can find a raid in the group finder. Like
The
that thing is so
LFR
fucking useful.
LFR is designed for the laziest, most apathetic players to still receive rewards. And I don't think that creating a mode in the game that facilitates that type of gameplay is good for the game.
Right.
That's really all it comes down to.
Well, that's
I just
fine.
don't
I just
think it's
meant
good.
like if it's in there, the fact that it's not.
Oh yes, yeah.
complete
I
dog
mean,
shit
I
is
don't
good.
know. I mean, like there are good and bad things. I don't really think it matters one way or another. I was glad that they took it out, and now that they're putting it back in, I just don't really care, like one way or another. Like it was kind of annoying having to do LFR, but I just full queue it with like my stream, and I hate the idea of having to carry people that I can't just kick out, right? I don't want to be I guess like forced to carry somebody. I really dislike that that entire.
It kills the entire MMO vibe.
Well, yeah, and it's just. I think that there should be one raid difficulty with optional hard modes like Cold War. And
That's what
after
I've been saying.
after you complete that raid difficulty, you go on to the next raid difficulty.
But I think that
Oh,
would
no, I
be
don't even-
fine as long as though. See, here's where I do think though that they've done some good things. The fact that raid will scale, like if they have one difficulty, that's fine. I do think though that raid should scale with the number of people that you have available, because like that is the part with of Mythic that makes it prohibitive for guilds like ours. Honestly, like if Mythic was a thing, and we could do it with whatever number of people we had, which you can't because there's prohibitive mechanics and so forth. Then we would do that. But we have an inconsistent number of people, and we don't want to maintain a 20-man roster, so we don't. Right? So if you had one difficulty but it had flex scaling to it, obviously it would get abused, right? Like somebody would find some fucking health tier level.
Yeah, like it's easier to do.
Oh,
this
you drop
certain
down to
fight
14
with
on
8.
this boss.
Yeah.
And you go up to 16 on another boss, whatever. Like, yeah, you would have that. So that's why probably they don't do that. But I think that has been a boon for raiding, is having that scalability.
I just think a lot of the things Blizzard has done has killed the MMO vibe of their MMORPG. Like a lot of the like convenience features they've made have just killed the entire social aspect of the game, which was the thing that was the game.
I think that you're partially right. I mean, I completely agree actually, and that's why I think that the only way that they can really recover that is by either making an entirely new game or at least temporarily doing legacy servers. I feel like the game just had something that was really important that people got a lot out of, and by adding in all of these raid difficulties and adding in all of these like mechanics that basically allow people to complete all of the content with little to no effort has diminished the value of what made the game great
Yeah,
in the
like
first
because
place.
like back when raids took when you had to have a certain amount of people, 25 people, 40 people, whatever. All of a sudden, your social status mattered, and your like reputation mattered, and all of the social parts of the game mattered more
Yeah.
because you had to be, you know, I don't know, like you couldn't just be like, oh,
Well,
we're
you
gonna
couldn't
flex
just
it and do
be
only have 14
you
people.
couldn't just be a cockboy and just cause trouble because if you did that, then people wouldn't want to play with you.
Yeah,
And
and you were
that was a big
encouraged to
part
make
of it.
friends. Like I remember all the time, like be like, oh my god, that's a badass tank, and I would do everything in my power to make sure I was friends with that tank, and we'd, you know, like the game rewarded you for like doing that kind of shit,
For communication and
and
for
playing an MMO with other fucking players.
I mean,
yeah,
I
for
think
working together.
things like the Nightbane mount are good. Like I think that is
Yeah.
because you know like, but I don't know if Blizzard necessarily wants to do like sell that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what you get when you do those things now. It's like the one guild has it on farm and they sell it, and then everybody else buys it, which is kind of like not really the intent. But um, I don't know, man. I don't think what you guys are looking for you're gonna get in this game. Like, if you get that back in Legacies, like that's
Oh, I'm not
okay, but
expecting to get it back. That's why I'm excited for CROWFALL, which is a completely different game. It's not coming back with WoW. There's no fucking way. That ship has sailed. It
yeah.
might come
It
back with
seems to
another
be the case.
MMO.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated that things haven't gone well with WoW, and it's just as I said, I just want to make sure that people can have the same experience that I
I was
can.
gonna ask you that. What's your so I stopped playing Legion just because I don't know. I guess I got a little burned. I was only doing PvP, and I'm surprised I made it as long as I did.
Yeah.
But I had fun with arenas and shit. But I don't know. I just got a little
Oh, I
tired
go
of it.
so far.
Are you enjoying it still?
It's fun. Yeah, I enjoy
It
it. I
seems
mean,
like the
like,
game has been a success so far, anyway. Like, I mean, at least initially, more than Warlords, I would say.
I think at this point, like a lot of people felt the same way in terms of the two expansions. But we're gonna have to see how things change. I think that one of the big problems is in Legion, they've capitalized on making content repetitive, and there's very much like iterative gameplay where you just like do Mythic Plus and higher difficulties, and I think that sooner than later that's going to burn people out because they're just going to do it over and over and over, and they're just going to get tired of it. While you're just doing the same stuff constantly, you're going to get bored. That's all that else comes down
Uh,
to. And I think what they're going to do is you're going to see a player drop off potentially as bad as Diablo 3, which is what I'm worried about, which is why I didn't want them to do what they did in Legion. Like, I think that Legion is good in a lot of ways, but not that one way in terms of replayability because there's no end, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not like you ever finish like what
well.
you're
That's I
you
stopped
ever
doing a
finish
lot
your
of
gear.
I stopped doing a lot of the Mythic Pluses because of that, right? Like it's like, well, you do your one right on your main tune, and then like after a while, that's not even really an upgrade anymore. Like I'm like, I haven't even touched Mythics, and my Druid's 875. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, I'm probably not going to get an upgrade out of this stuff. So it's like I'll just play
Right.
alts, and it's yeah,
At
I don't
least
know.
I do feel like I don't know, just the general vibe I got when I played Legion is I do feel like it was better than Warlord. Like I feel like they like put more time into it. Like
Oh,
Warlords felt
I
just
completely
shitty.
agree.
Like Warlords is just like, wait, what? This is it? A Pexis?
Yeah.
Warlords
I
is.
don't.
I don't think
Warlords is just
Warlords ever
bad.
meant to be as long as it was, though. Not even close.
There were just a lot of mistakes that were made in Warlords, but ultimately I think there's a lot more to it, like in terms of like basically like just the repetitive nature of the game I think is going to wear on people soon. And I think it already has with a lot of people. So I'm just really hoping that they're gonna realize that the players that just want to do like the raid once and then quit for the expansion or whatever for the patch, aren't the audience that they should be trying to sustain. I just don't feel like that's the best idea for them.
Yeah, I mean, World Quests and Emissaries will keep casuals around, I think, for a while because it's that, as much as I hate this legendary system, that constant carrot out there all the time. Like that's the legendaries is largely the only reason I do emissaries on so many characters that I do them on. Because it's like, oh, I got to do my chests or whatever, and I don't know. How do you feel about like low level keystones carries for people just so that higher level people can get legendaries? Is that still rampant? Like that was rampant for a while. I mean, maybe it's largely died off, but I couldn't decide that that's good for casuals, obviously, but I don't know if that was good for those higher level players or not. I don't know if it was a mutually beneficial system.
Oh, it was mutually beneficial. Is it necessarily like mutually like intended? I don't really know. I think that they probably should have. It feels to me, as I said, like whenever I played the game, like there was always a goal in mind, right? I had a point where I wanted to reach that level of gear, and I wanted to get all of the best gear. And now in the game, it's literally like statistically impossible for me to get all of the best gear, right? Between like Titan forging and sockets and tertiaries. So I'm in a position where I'm playing a game that I can't win. And to me, whenever I'm playing a game I can't win, there's no point to begin, right?
Yeah,
And
it'd
I
be
think
one thing
that's-
if
yeah.
all of that shit was deterministic, because then you'd be like, I'm on a clear path. But since it's all RNG bullshit, it's kind of like, fuck this.
Well, I'm
Well,
glad
yeah, I have no control.
I'm glad they bumped up the eye level of what was it,
Yeah,
Valor?
trial of Valor.
Because I mean, like some of that stuff, like a lot of us were taking alts into Emerald Nightmare, normal, like we did a normal clear of Emerald Nightmare. We did it once, and we were like, nobody got any upgrades from this fucking place from World Quests. So it's like maybe it won't be like that in tier 20, tier 21. But certainly, they're cranking up mythic dungeons, and they said they're going to crank up the base eye level of heroic dungeons and all that stuff. So it's unprecedented in the fact that there's so many ways for casuals to get gear. Like you know what I mean? Like you don't even, if you don't want to raid, like you don't even have to, and you're probably going to be of comparable power level, unless you're mythic raiding,
Right.
Like so, it's I think it'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out for this for the expansion and going forward, because it could be good, could be bad,
You want to talk about the Hansol thing real quick, since we were both
yeah,
both
sure. I
involved in
forgot
that?
all about that. Yeah.
Dude, they never responded. I think that we kind of killed that. I mean, both of us were kind of involved in that.
Who responded? Like,
No one did.
yeah. I mean, I talked to Vexxed about it on my stream, and I think that he kind of understood the concerns that I had, and I felt like some of the things that, as I said, he said in the video were inaccurate, or at least like kind of virtue signaling. So
That was fucking brilliant, by the way.
What was?
You just let him dig his own hole. Like he really did. Like it was like the perfect example of giving somebody enough rope to hang themselves with. That was absolutely brilliant.
I was surprised that he was as hard on his own video as he was. I think that he probably could have used better argumentation in terms of how to
Notice how he
respond
left
to
it up.
something.
It's not like he was that hard. Like I don't know. He just contradicted himself like a million fucking times. It was
Well, yeah.
bad.
Whenever I'm having an argument with somebody or whatever, I always try to predict what they're going to say, and then try and create a flowchart in my mind of how I want to direct the conversation to get to the point where I want it to be. And I don't really need to prove and make him think that he's wrong, or the other person, because that's not probably going to happen. Or at least I think to a certain extent he felt that way, that he was at least kind of wrong. But I feel like, especially because he said in the video that Hansol was trying to talk to underage girls. I think that was a big thing, and to me, I would say that's like borderline defamation, because
Well, it wasn't
he
even
wasn't.
true.
Well, that's the thing, is it wasn't even true, And saying that somebody is like that obviously assumes like there are people that correlate underage girls with pedophile, right?
Yeah.
Many people do, or at least sexual predator. And branding somebody as a sexual predator, or especially a pedophile, is extremely damaging to anybody's reputation. And the fact that he put that on a video without having a disclaimer saying in Canada it's 16 or something like that, that was absolutely not only irresponsible, but I would say borderline illegal. And the fact that that's on YouTube is very very bad,
Like,
and it creates a very very bad like scene with like drama videos and
well, dude,
calling
you
people
can
out.
tell his character just by like it'd be one thing if he made the video and then he felt bad that he got a lot of shit wrong and whatever, and then he just took it down. But you can tell like the kind of person he is. The video's still up, despite all of the fucking contradictions and inaccuracies. It's still fucking up. Like it shouldn't exist in the first place, but it's still up.
Well, it's like the thing with the video is that what was really the purpose of making this video? And
YouTube
I think
money.
that at that point you should look at that at that point and say what exactly did he make this video for? And it's beyond that because he could make a video about another person too. But he looked at this person and basically found like these things that are either morally or ethically reprehensible, and he then created a video about it. And to me, I felt that it was unfair to Hansol for one that he used the private messages between him and like his ex girlfriend and everything. And then I asked him, and he said that that wasn't private information. And it's like if you're having a phone call with somebody and you record that phone call, that's illegal to not tell them.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
dude,
not saying
it absolutely
I'm not
was
saying
private
that
information.
I'm not saying that that wasn't it was illegal what he did. But what I am saying is that if it's on that level with a phone call, I think that whenever you look at private DMs between two people, it should be treated with at least some level of gravity. And just publishing those online, especially whenever it's things that are compromising like that, like at a certain point, YouTube or Twitch or advertisers or somebody needs to step in and say what's okay and what's not okay. And if you're going to make these call out videos, then I think they should just be disallowed on YouTube entirely, unless it's like an actual news organization or something like that. And the reason for that is because there's just too much liability. There is a world. I'm not saying this could happen, but I'm saying there is a world where somebody could sue YouTube for hosting this content that's damaging, right? And would they win? Maybe. I mean, like probably not, but maybe. And whenever that happens, everybody loses.
Yeah, see,
And
I'm
I think
not for like censoring anybody, but I think just like
it's not
I
about censoring somebody. It's like if you go to somebody else's house and you shit on their doorstep, that's not okay. And it's like kind of it harms everybody, and it also
yeah, no,
lowers the level of content. And every single time that somebody makes a video like that, it makes YouTube a more negative space. And the more negative of a space it is, the more unappealing it is to advertisers, and the more it hurts everybody else here on YouTube. And that's really that's the ultimate outcome,
yeah.
which is why I was very concerned about it.
I don't think
And
YouTube needs to do anything though. I think eventually this will kind of correct itself when people kind of see through the bullshit. My biggest issue is, so I have no issues with people making videos calling each other out, but when your entire channel is just calling people out, it's bad because there's a financial incentive for you to make shit up that
I
isn't
think that
true.
it is. I think
Because
that
if you
it
look at
should
this
be.
guy's whole channel, all it is him calling people out, and everyone knows how like a YouTuber works, right? You want to make those videos twice a week or whatever your upload schedule. You want to keep
Yeah.
a consistent upload schedule, and when your entire base of your channel is calling people out and quote exposing them, you can kind of see how eventually you're going to run into a point where
You're gonna
maybe
look
you
for
need to
new
bend the
witches to burn.
truth or just lie.
That's entirely a concern. But more than that, I think that it does fall on YouTube to do this because YouTube is the medium that's being communicated through,
Yeah.
and
I
YouTube
mean,
also makes money through it.
well, they
Like,
definitely
they
can
have,
because they've demonetized videos like that are
well, they need to do more than demonetize videos. I think, in my mind, if you in a video say that somebody is trying to pick up underage girls, and that's not true, that should be at least one strike against your channel, if not more. That is
Yeah,
a
but I mean, from their perspective, how are
legitimate.
they supposed to know what's true and what's not true on a website that gets like millions of hours of content uploaded to it every day or whatever the fuck
They
crazy
can't
number?
stop everything, but if people report it, I think that that's how they should deal with it whenever they do choose to like go through the arbitration. Obviously, they can't stop everything. Like there's a video of 6 views saying that Obama is a Muslim Kenyan reptile overlord that's gonna put everybody in abandoned Walmarts and implement martial law. Like you can't get rid of everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, whenever they are looking at these different situations, I think whenever an individual puts out information that is uh, just like that's obviously damaging. Saying that is damaging. Groscore got banned on Twitch for saying that. He was banned on Twitch for saying that.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be treated because that's not a joke. Like that's not like defamation of character, especially on that level, is not a fucking joke. If you want to be a professional, if you want to make money like a professional, you have to act like a professional. And spreading lies and insinuating that somebody is a sexual predator or even a pedophile is fucking ridiculous, and there should be no tolerance for it, and it's entirely on YouTube. We cannot expect people to not act in self-interest. It's not going to happen. You
Yeah.
have to attack it at the core. If YouTube doesn't do anything, nothing will be done.
Well, I mean, Hansel could take action. I mean, there have been videos that have been removed.
Hansel could take action. You're right.
Yeah, he could.
But it doesn't matter if
But it
Hansel
doesn't
takes
matter because the video's kind of been trashed.
Well, no, it does matter because the video's still there. Like
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still
glitch is
there, but like, I don't. It's not really hurting him anymore. It doesn't seem like.
It
Like,
didn't matter.
It kind of seems like things are back there. Well, I'm just saying, at least there's kind of a happy ending for him.
Well, ultimately, that's not really the point. Is because
Oh yeah, I know.
every single time that a video like that comes out, and you say, "Well, because it went well," then there's
Oh,
no
I'm not
reason.
saying that at all. I'm just saying,
Okay,
like, at least
okay.
in this situation, it
Yeah,
didn't.
at least I mean, yeah, the silver lining is that it wasn't really as damaging as it could be. Now, the Vex guy, I talked to him before, and he seemed like a pretty chill guy. I wish him all the best in his YouTube career and everything. But
I
I feel
don't.
like
Fuck this guy.
well, I don't really want to like create like negativity with this guy for no reason, right?
You gonna get exposed?
No.
Asmongold exposed.
He came on my Twitch channel whenever I was saying bad things about him in front of over 3,000 people, and he defended himself. There are very few people who would do that. And the fact that he did that made me respect him to an extent. That doesn't mean that I have to agree with his actions, but I can respect him as an individual.
See, I don't know. I don't really give him that respect because he started doing that the second that video started getting some, like the second the WoW community, which was kind of beautiful in a way. The WoW community was kind of like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Even if all of this shit is true, like a bunch of like, no, I don't think anybody else made any videos other than me, but there were a few people on Twitter that were just like, dude, fuck that guy. Like, cause like I think it was I can't remember his name. Fuck. The mage guy. That's from whatever. Go ahead. That was fail. Fuck.
Which mage guy? What does he do?
Frost mage guy from Amsterdam. Oh shit, Zico.
Zico, yes.
Yeah, Zico.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I saw
somebody
that he
asked
made a
him
post
like,
about it.
yeah, Zico was like, yeah, it sounds like a bunch of people looking for attention, and like there was a whole bunch of people that kind of stood up for him, which was, I thought, kind of unexpected. But I think me and you kind of like when me and you both did it.
Well, I'm
people
not really a big fan of Hansel either. I think the fact that he sold things on like the
Oh yeah,
doing
that shit's cancer for
like
the game.
I mean, like in my opinion, I think anybody that advertises those websites on Twitch should be permabanned. That's my opinion. And another things like the pickup artist stuff is very reprehensible in my opinion. I don't like it at all.
Really?
No, I don't. And the reason
Well,
I
I
don't
think it's
like
kind of embarrassing that he spent money on it. But I mean,
well, no, I mean, I think that if it's something he likes to do, that's fine. But if you look at kind of the outcome of a lot of those people, it's very, very. I think it's degenerate. Basically, I think it's degenerate to, I guess like relationships and like dating in general, and I don't really think it adds anything positive. I'm not really like a super like big traditionalist or anything like that, but I don't really see where this is going to be good, basically. Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't do it. I'm not a fan of
wait,
it. I
like just
don't
going
like
up to
it.
chicks at the mall and talking to them?
Well, that's not what he's doing, and I think that we both know that. I mean, like the goal of those pickup artists, those different, I guess, like communities and those talks is to have sex with girls, right? And basically, to a large extent, they'll tell girls whatever they want, whatever they think will work in order to get them
Actually,
to do that.
I actually studied that.
Dude,
No, I didn't study
dudes have
like
been
I
doing
did.
that for like since the beginning of
No,
time.
no, no. I read you remember that guy? That's a whole culture. There's a guy called Neil Strauss who wrote a book called I forget what it is. But there was that VH1 the guy Mystery on VH1. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that?
You've talked about this before.
Yeah, it's a interesting, like the actual act is, whatever, maybe effective, might not be effective, but it's interesting
Well, a
how
lot of it's bullshit just to sell books and fucking things to idiots, which is why I think it's kind of embarrassing. I think it's more
I think that
embarrassing
it's
that he spent
also
money on it.
inherently predatory. Like you can see that a lot of the ways that, like that one guy that was doing it was kind of like pushing himself on the girl.
Well, that's
Like, did
just
you
like
watch that?
fucking. Well, yeah, that's obviously bad.
Right, and like, but I think that is like that's the outcome that a lot of people are looking to achieve, and just like the way that Hansol like talked about like having like dating his ex-girlfriend and like the abortion thing. I don't really know what was going on, but it just seemed kind of weird, and I don't really know, but I'm just not a big fan of like the whole pickup culture in general. It's just not something I've ever really been a big fan of. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm just not a fan of it. Yeah.
I just thought that was strange.
Well, how do you feel about it?
I mean, people have been picking up. That's like been a thing for like forever.
Well, I
Like,
think it really depends on what
talking
methods-
to girls and trying to fucking make something happen. That's been
No,
like a thing.
I
forever.
understand that, but I think that the way that they go about it is inherently predatory.
Well, I mean, I would say the way that some people go about it is probably predatory. I mean, I don't know anything about these specific groups.
this comes from the fucking you, the guy that, like you're a fucking, that's funny. Like your whole like spiel you talked about with like getting the chicks on the at their low, That's just funny.
Yeah. I guess I might be.
Well, as I said, I just think it. I just think
maybe
it's
I'm not the right
degenerate.
person to talk about this then.
Well, I just think it's degenerate, and I don't think it's really good. Like, I don't think it's healthy for society. And I mean, like, you can say that I'm kind of like, like, what am I? Who am I to judge somebody else? And ultimately, that's a pretty accurate question. Like, I mean, people can do what they want. It's not something I subscribe to. It's not something that I think is good for society. But I'm not going to say that somebody is like a worse person necessarily for it. But I think that, a lot of the behaviors that are exhibited by the people that do that stuff are more than likely, at least like more than I've seen, are very borderline, into like sexual assault.
Yeah, oh,
And-
yeah. I guess you're thinking of the more extreme end. I thought
Well, I think
I
that-
thought at first you were talking about just picking up girls in general and just like talking to girls. At the
Oh
mall.
no, I don't really think that that's a problem.
Because I was getting ready to say, I was like, that shit, like that's kind of a weird thing to take
No,
a
I mean
hard
that would
stance
be
on.
no. Oh no. I mean, like obviously talking to a girl and everything, but the way that they address them and the way that they deal with it, I don't really feel is I don't know, is good for society, is just good in general, right? It's very hard for me to think that it's good. But that's just me, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously everybody has a different way of like kind of looking at things and handling them. But to me, I just don't really consider it like good for society or anything like that. But ultimately, like it's not each individual's like responsibility to like further society either. Like I can't like put that on them.
Yeah, some dudes just want to get laid.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get that, but I think that at a certain level, that it does borderline potentially on, being like sexual assault. That's really what it comes down to. But going back to the Hansol video, like, yeah, I feel like videos like that, YouTube needs to take a hardline stance against those videos.
They kind of were there for a second. If you kept up with like YouTube, like there was like this concern that like the channels like Drama Alert and Leafy and those guys were gonna get shut down because they said they were going to because they like had some new bullying thing that was like really vague.
Well, exactly, and I think that whenever you use something like that, I assumed that was what was going to happen because I don't really think that there's channels like that add anything positive into the community to a large extent. I like Keemstar. I always have liked him. I think he's a really funny guy. But a lot of the videos and stuff that he does, it's like because you can't be certain, right? I feel like whenever you're reporting something about like, like people talking to like underage fans and like the Minecraft stuff, like I wish that he would spend more time trying to mobilize and deal with awareness and also it's like if you actually think that these sexual crimes are being committed, you should talk maybe to the police rather than the camera.
Yeah, but that doesn't get YouTube money, dog.
Well, that's the problem.
It's all about getting paid.
Well, whenever you create, you're right. Whenever you create a financial
right? When you financial incentive for exposed channels, we went full circle.
Exactly, and I think that you're right. But it does, I believe, fall entirely on YouTube's responsibility to deal with these channels themselves. And until YouTube starts dealing with them, they're going to continue to exist because people aren't just going to stop watching them. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to. So YouTube has to deal with it, or I don't really know what the outcome is going to be, but I can't really see it being anything good.
All right, well, we've been going for a while. You got anything you want to add, Dope? You haven't talked in a while.
Nah. The wife's all pissed. She's like, fucking Sunday nights are fucking shows, and you're just up there. What the fuck are you doing? What are you talking about?
It's the what? Sunday night, it's the what?
It's fucking show night, bro.
Oh.
Shows, bro. You're not married. You're not married.
Yeah, no.
You gotta watch
you do a really good job to sell it every time.
Yeah, this comes from fucking vasectomy fucking Victor over here.
Yeah. Well, so what do you think about the drama channels? Do you have any opinion on them, or what?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not educated enough to make a fucking...
You don't care?
He's not that big into the YouTube
It's not
sphere.
that I don't care. It's just that I don't...
He doesn't partake.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not part of it. You don't want to like kind of say something that you don't really know about. Yeah, I understand, man.
Yeah, I don't like
that. I don't know. I just wish that they do more, and I think it falls on YouTube. And whenever you're accusing somebody of something that's very damaging, there need to be actual repercussions for that. That's really all it comes down to for me.
I mean, in reality, like, it's kind of I don't want to say that, but I mean, like, you don't own you own the content on your channel, but you don't own, like, if Facebook can censor someone's posts because it's essentially theirs, right? Like, it's the same thing with Twitch. Like, they can just fucking, and should probably, if they want to present a certain image, just censor it however they want and take care of shit.
Yeah, all those EULAs give the company complete control of everything.
Right.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm saying is I agree with you that Twitch should sort of deal with that stuff. So anyway.
All right. Well, I guess we could probably end it there. We've been going for 3 hours. I can't believe it's been that long. Yeah.
No, it was only supposed to be going for an hour.
Zybak was so gay for you being on this podcast. Like, I can't express. She's like, yes, Asmongold.
Well, dude, come on, the Trump victory and Asmongold at the same time for
Asmongold.
Well, dude, think dude, the universe gave us such a gift for our 52nd episode.
The Trump
victory. Holy shit. Yeah.
It's definitely like stars align.
I'm just so glad that like I can continue to act like an asshole for another 4 years on Twitter.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
be
had
amazing.
such a fucking blast for like the past 2 days after election day. Like it was so fun.
Yeah. So, send me what you want on your fucking sign that I'm gonna be posting on the.
Oh no! All you need to do is take a picture with the roast me thing, and I can just word the post. You just have to do.
Alright.
You have to take a picture with the r/roast me
Got it.
thing,
It's
and make
coming.
it like a super unappealing picture. By the way,
Right. A really bad, like a up my chin, fucking make my face as fat as possible kind of thing.
no, don't like intentionally make it bad, but try to make it bad like in a way to where it's believable.
Right.
Like
I
don't
gotcha.
don't go like so far over the edge that like they can tell you made it bad on purpose, but try to make it bad in a way to where it's like, wait, he just really looks like that.
Right.
That'd be optimal.
Right.
Anyway, that was HiveMind 52. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to check out Asmongold. I'll link all his stuff down below. 1 year in a row, it's pretty cool. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Twitch, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. And also, I'm gonna be putting together like a best of like the 1 year of HiveMind. So if you have like a favorite moment, let me know, and I'll might put it in the best of video. So hopefully I think we might have one moment in this one that I thought was pretty funny. So anyway, anything else you guys want to add?
I think I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for staying on for the entire thing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good one.
All right, peace.
Later.